confidence, I think I'm the man. Cali all the fucks I ever gave on my head. Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, that's what made me a boss.
All right, yo, it's your man Nino Blac. This is Blac Thoughts. Y'all already know what it is. The revolution will not be televised, but it will be streamed. The chicken has come home to roost, and God steady blessing all the trap niggas. Thank y'all for being here. I apologize for the delay. We had some technical difficulties. I didn't pay my light bill because y'all don't be hitting that little star that's in the thing that pays us in pennies. Y'all gotta hit that star so I can pay my light bill, man. I had to. You don't even want to know what I had to do that. But look, this is the Money Speak Easy. The Money Speak Easy. I had a couple people reach out to me. I want to know what is a SpeakEasy. Now, you know I'm smart. I got a slick mouth, so I told him you gotta research this thing. You can't ask questions. It's the World Wide Web. You got to go search this thing. But I feel it's only appropriate for me to give you a proper introduction of what the Money Speak Easy is. So we're gonna get into it. As soon as the prohibition went into effect in the 1920s, law enforcement and agents began to shut down bars, clubs across the country. Now, this may be a story a lot of y'all has already heard, but almost as quickly as they started shutting down the bars, SpeakEasy started to emerge. And the term SpeakEasy is because when you went to a club, you kind of had to do like what the Yin Yangs did in the Whisper song. You had to speak easy. And when you spoke easy, they would let you in and you can slick come in and drink your drink because it was against the law to drink. Well, how does that pertain to what we're talking about today? We're talking about that today because a lot of us have grew up in speakeasies because our family never talked about finances. Our family never talked about generational wealth. Our family never talked about credit, building credit, paying off bills, what a loan is. We never talked about that in our family. Like me personally, take me. I grew up with my grandmother and my mother in the same house my entire life. I cannot tell you a time I've ever seen a light bill. I didn't see a light bill until I was old enough to get my own place and had to pay a light bill. In my family, in my house, if you accidentally opened the light bill, you was getting your ass toe up because you was meddling in somebody else's business. So bills and things of that nature wasn't a conversation in our household. So today on the Money Speak Easy, we're going to tackle a couple conversations that you generally don't have, especially not out in the open, right? So we're going to talk about life insurance. What is life insurance? We hear people talk about it. We people in our inbox trying to sell it to us. What is it? Why is it important? Should we do it? Shouldn't we do it? We're going to talk about employee benefits. A lot of us work jobs where, you know, every year we got to sign up for these benefits, but we really don't know what we signing. We just signing it up and we sign for the one that's the cheapest, not knowing that may not be the one we need. Then we're going to talk about the history of economic oppression and why our people are so far behind when it comes to the financial and the wealth gap. We're going to discuss that as well. I got some guests with me that are way more knowledgeable than me, right? So I'm going to go ahead and bring them on. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and we're going to dive into this conversation. If you don't mind, tag your friends, hit the share button. There's going to be a lot of valuable information. Let's do it, man. Let's go ahead and bring the guest on. Yo, how we doing? How we doing? We good? Can y'all hear me?
Doing good, doing well. Thanks for having us.
Okay. Y'all look beautiful. We look like the Brady Bunch. We can all be cousins the way we look. Yeah, I like that. I like that. So I want to introduce ourselves, man. First and foremost, we always got to go ladies first. Y'all know how my mantra. Y'all know how I run it. We have a Alexis Perry. How we doing today, Queen?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you from,
Sure.
and what area in this whole mission do you play?
Right. So I'm Alexis. I am a native Nashvilleian, born and raised. We're very few and far between these days. I play my role as the one who's going to answer the questions on the employer benefits. So I've been in the employer/HR benefits game for 10 years now. With many different companies, from for-profit companies to nonprofit for-profit company. So seeing how all these different plans kind of work and interact with individuals, especially the way it disproportionately affects African-American families and immigrant families versus the white families. And like you said in the beginning, it all goes back to the information that we have. The privilege is given to some and not others. So it's a lot of education that is missing. So we need it.
Okay. So let me ask you a quick question before Quentin introduces himself. So in HR, right? You HR. So right now my job is telling me if I don't come to work tomorrow that I'm fired, right? And I'm just trying to figure out, can you vouch for me because you HR, or does it not work like that?
It don't work.
Y'all don't have like a blue wall of silence or nothing like that amongst all the HR?
No.
Y'all don't see. Yeah,
HR has the opposite. It's every man for himself, and wherever you at, that's where you at, and you do your policies, and I do my policies.
I don't know why, but I thought HR just linked up at happy hour and just talked about people all day. Y'all don't do that at all?
No, we keep that in the office.
Okay, I get you. I was wrong. I was thinking about strippers, I guess. Quentin, how you doing, big dog? Long time no see, man.
Well. I'm doing well. Good to see you as well, sir. Good to see you as well.
How you doing, man? Can you kind of elaborate on who you are and what's your position going to be today?
Yeah, so I'm Quinton Cox, originally from Wichita, Kansas. Moved to the Middle Tennessee area back in 2012 when I used to work for Dollar General, headquartered out here in Goodlettsville. And since have left Dollar General stores, I'm currently finishing up a master's program at Vanderbilt. And part of what I'm focusing on there is this issue of economic justice. And so what I hope to bring to the conversation today is an effort to expand our understanding as Black people about how it is that we have arrived in the economic conditions and situations that we're in. Because a lot of times the easy answer is to blame us for poor spending habits or for lack of knowledge or for other things. And we don't necessarily look to the systemic issues that have created an environment where it's almost impossible for Black folk to find a way out of poverty. And so as we talk this evening, I hope to shed whatever light, whatever is helpful to bring some understanding.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, the man that I'm going to introduce next, you got to watch what you say, Quentin, because he going to tell you right off the rip, a lot of these niggas is lazy. They don't want to do nothing. He going to he going to tell you. All right. So look.
It's 2021. We ain't hearing that systemic shit. No, not today.
So go on and introduce yourself, my brother. What's your name? Where you from? And what you got going?
Cory Bill Senior, man. Originally from Chicago. Been down here over 15 years. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I say about, if I count Wells Fargo, 14 years in the banking and insurance industry. I'm also chairman of a nonprofit called Now, where we speak about social issues, and I run the economic department there. And when I'm a player the role, I'm not a devil's advocate, but I call myself a delusional nutcracker. It's 2021, and we can't consistently talk about systemic oppression when we could freely go to the gas station right now. About 40, 50 years ago, we couldn't do that. So I think as long as we keep our eyes tied to the past, we'll never respect the present, and that's why we don't plan for the future.
And that's exactly what I want us to get into today, with your help, Alexis' help, and of course Quentin to help be the beacon, man, to what he feels and what we all can come together to see if we can get on the other side of that 8 ball and kind of bring it all home, man, to a better place, to where we can actually get ahead. And I know, a lot of us, we hear about, racism and systematic oppression. We hear a lot about that. But my question is, what are we teaching our kids? You know what I mean? What are we teaching our kids? Are we letting that be the end all be all? Or are we actually creating solutions for our children? Are we creating solutions that we can at least if we can't pass down to them now, when we're gone, we're leaving something for them to go with. So my first question to you guys, and y'all can answer in any order y'all want, what was taught in your household about wealth, about finances? Like, did you guys have those kind of conversations growing up?
I know I didn't. I'm from the projects, from IDB Wells. You know, when I go on my speaking circuit, I tell my story. Unfortunately, my mother was raped when she had me. So I came into poverty because she's handicapped, mentally and physically handicapped. So what was taught in my household was survival. I knew how to survive. I didn't know how to thrive. I didn't know how to budget. All I knew I was the food stamp man who was embarrassed to go into the store with the food stamps. The kid that got talked about, and I had no one to really in my family to help me because they all was either mentally or physically handicapped. Then I had an uncle who unfortunately was like the patriarch of the family who got upset at me because I had a kid at 16 and he did that fake tough love shit. You know, you want to be a man now. Never taught me how to be a man, but wanted to give me that you want to be a man speech instead of showing me the ropes. Right. So the blessing was me going to junior college, Tennessee State University, playing ball, injuring my knee, and getting into the banking industry to focus on unlearning, all how to survive. Because I just knew how to survive. I didn't know how to how to budget my money. I didn't know about stocks, life insurance, planning. That was not a conversation in our household until I brought the conversation in a household, and you talking to someone that was probably at that time when I get into banking, when I get to Wells Fargo, 2006, 29 years old. That's when I started taking it seriously. And I can tell you, when I was playing ball, making some overseas money, things of that nature, most of my guys, we was money, hoes, and clothes. So I grew up in that culture that didn't even speak about financial responsibility. It was all about financial irresponsibility. It took a while, man. It took a while to really have that conversation that I have with my kids now. But I know for me growing up, no, that conversation was not the topic of the hour. It was either, am my mother going to get her ass beat today by my stepfather? Am I going to get jumped on by my stepfather? Or am I going to be able to go outside and play it? That was my childhood.
I got you. Alexis, what about you, Miss Perry?
So, like I said, I'm a native Nashvilleian. So, growing up in Nashville, I'm from Antioch. So, growing up in Antioch in the 80s is a whole different Antioch that you see in 2021. So, for me, being one of the only black kids in the neighborhood, we weren't supposed to be there. The only other black in our neighborhood was a dentist. So they're like, well, who are these poor black people moving into this suburban neighborhood? So outside the house, I had to deal with a lot of racism in school, racism, walking home from the bus, racism when I try and go outside and play, like it was bad. Those are some real hard things. Inside the home, what I had was two parents who were very vocal about what was going on. So once I hit a certain age, like around middle school, that's when my dad started doing more because my mom didn't do the bills. My dad did. So that's when he started to bring me in and tell me things about credit. What was credit? And then I could ask my probing questions. Well, why do you need credit? And why, he was actually taking the time to explain it. We have a house because we had to get a loan. Here's how a loan works. We had to get a car because we had to get a loan, and this is how the interest works. So I was lucky enough to have a parent who got the value of teaching their children that, because he grew up, he's poor boy in Alabama, family of like 12 people in the house. All they knew was education, get into education. That was it. Right. And so he definitely instilled the education part, but he went the extra mile and said, okay, you need to know these other skills because I didn't know it. I went to college, got my degree, went out into the world, and I still didn't know anything about bills because in the country, you own everything, you do everything, you really ain't worried about bills. When your daddy built the house, you ain't got no mortgage. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that.
Right.
So I appreciate that. And I know that's, very few and far between, especially with black families, having those conversations growing up and continuing to have those conversations now as my parents age, because, I have to make sure that I'm on top of their finances as well as my own household, because now they're aging and I'm an only child. So that's my responsibility that I don't take lightly. So I'm very glad that we
started that really early, and that's something I want to continue with my girls, starting at really early, letting them know how wealth works, and I'm hoping that I can build on those building blocks that I got from my
Right.
parents. That way, as we start building this, generational wealth, starting with my dad's generation, then moving to me, then passing that on to my girls. So I'm fortunate enough to have that, but I don't take lightly from whence it came.
Right. Absolutely. I can understand that as well. Quentin, what you got, man?
Yeah, so growing up, we didn't have a lot of direct conversations about economics or finances or wealth building. I would watch my mom. She would do the bills on the back of an envelope. And about the only thing that I knew that she ever said or talked about the bills was she was going to ensure every bill was paid on time. I didn't necessarily know why. I didn't know what it meant to have a bill paid late. I didn't know that there were repercussions or how it might have a greater impact on you in a negative sense. And so I just understood the value of paying bills on time. My dad didn't talk directly about finances, but he owned a couple of rental properties. And so I would go with him and we would kind of work on rental properties, or I'd watch him do various things. And, we might have conversations about, how much to charge for rent, or, why it was that he had these rental properties, or, how to make sure the rental property was profitable. But again, in terms of just, how to manage money, or how even these rental properties were impacting our household economically for the good or for the bad, or what the plan was economically for these rental properties, we didn't really have those kinds of discussions. Those were things that I began to understand, as an adult. In college and after college, I began sort of my own economic learning and journey.
Yeah, I can understand that. Like in my house, my mom, she normally would have her own place, but every now and then something would happen, and we had to move in with my grandmother. And I never forget, because my grandmother had a big room, and her room was big enough to have like a dining room in her room. Like it was like it had couch and everything in her room, right? And that used to be my spot. I used to go sleep on her couch and just talk to her until she went to sleep. And one day I was in her room, and my uncle would come up and she would give him a pack of cigarettes that she bought from him. Then my older brother would come up. She bought him some cigarettes. My mom would come up, and I'm like, golly. So one day I was like, have you ever thought about how much money you spend on cigarettes? And she was like, nah. Why? I was like, I bet you it's a lot. She was like, I bet you it ain't. And I started adding it all up. And she was like, here go a receipt. Do it for me. And I looked, and my grandmother was spending almost $700 a month on just cigarettes. Yeah. For everybody that smoked cigarettes. And when I showed her that, she was like, "That ain't right." I'm like, "I promise it is." I'm like, "Let's do it again." But like but keep in mind that my grandmother always worked 2 jobs. My grandmother always provided for everybody. My grandmother always did. But when she passed, we got to realize exactly how financially savvy she really was. Because the house was behind. We had a water bill that had been paid in years. So it was like all kind of things that we learned. You know what I mean? So throughout this conversation, to everybody who just tuned in, we're going to go through the motions, man. We're gonna talk about wealth building. We're going to talk about the struggle of not knowing. We're going to help come up with some solutions as well, because we got some very knowledgeable people on the panel today. If possible, if you are in the group, if you are on the group, if you are watching, hit the share button, tag a friend. Let's get the comment sections going. If y'all have any questions for any guests, post it in the comment section. We'll read it out. They can read it. We can talk about it. So insurance, Cory. Insurance is a contract represented by a policy in which an individual or an entity receives a financial protection or reimbursement against losses from an insurance company. The company pools clients together to make sure that the insurance is affordable, right?
Correct.
Do our community utilize insurance?
The funny thing about it is that our community is probably the only community that's overinsured, but we have the wrong type of insurance.
Okay.
And that's what's going on with us. Like, we looked at records a few years ago. Black folks, we believe in insurance, but we don't have the right type of insurance. And that's where the hiccup comes into play, because we don't get to take advantage of some of the insurance policies that teach you about tax-free retirement, that allow you to have a tax-free retirement as you get older, right?
Right.
Because we have so many, what I call born again Christians, right, or born again insurance agents who finally know about the rule of 72, know about term and her whole life, and listen to whatever upline tell them what's bad, and they get out here and tell you what the wrong type of insurance to fucking have, right? Which is that's just not what it is. We just got to be told that it's certain insurance policies for every client, for every individual. I'm a huge believer of term insurance with living benefits, right? If you don't have living benefits with term insurance, I don't even know why you have term. And I say that because if you look at our history, you look at how we eat, you look at how we become older, we become sedentary. What's taking us out? It's not it's not death per se or murder per se. It's those heart attacks. It's those strokes. It's those cigarettes grandma was smoking for the whole family. It's bad dieting. It's not exercising, right? And when you're dealing with a race of people who barely have $400 fucking in the savings account and have health conditions, and I'm sure Miss Alexis could pick up on this, choosing the wrong benefits at work, right? They don't have proper coverage. And so one of those ailments may take them out, and the median black person could only go 45 days before they behind everything. So having being educated on the right type of insurance matters. But most importantly in our community, we have to stop telling people what's good and what's bad in insurance. We're already a race of people that don't trust each other. So when we got 5,000 people saying this is the worst type of policy versus 3,000 people saying this is the right type of policy, it's going to always cause mad confusion in this insurance industry.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Alexis, to kind of piggyback off what Cory was saying, healthcare open enrollment runs from November the 1st through December the 15th. Coverage starts on the 1st. What services are available to help black families not only understand what options are available, but help them select the plan that's beneficial for them and their family needs? Is there anything?
So I want to back up because open enrollment. Which open enrollment are you talking about? Are you talking about open enrollment, or are you talking about like state plan, like Medicare open enrollment? Because there's no set date for employers to do open enrollment. Employer open enrollment is based on the employer's plan period. So you have a lot of employers where they have what's called a mid-year enrollment. So their plan may end March 31st and their new coverage begins April 1st, which means they have open enrollment in February. You see what I'm saying? And they start gearing up December, January. So let's, for example, because I just don't want anyone out there to think, oh well, I don't have to worry about it until October, November.
Right.
Your plan ends in October. What you mean? We've been telling you since August. So let's just be real clear. So for instance, if your plan ends in December 31st and your new plan begins every year January 1st, that open enrollment period technically will start somewhere in October. Sometimes it'll start a little later. Depends on how far into December your employer has to go to set up the plans for you, to give you time to enroll. Now, the issue with the question that you asked is, are there resources available for people to figure out what plan works best for them? There is no general resource. And the reason why that is because the way our country sets up benefits is ass backwards, point blank in the period. They do it from a capitalist standpoint versus a helpful, integrative standpoint, like most other socialized countries.
Right.
Well, most other socialized countries, they have a government plan that, bam, you're born in the country, boom, you have this benefit period. You're covered. All your basic needs are covered. And over there, you have employer benefits that you can enroll in to help add to the basic plans that you have. Here, you don't have that. If you don't qualify for a basic state plan and your employer offers you coverage and you don't take it, then you just don't have coverage. So there are different tools. So if you go out on Google, there's a nerdwallet.com, and they usually every year around the fall, usually starts in September, they'll start putting out like a plan selector. It gives you a breakdown. It asks you some poignant questions about your healthcare and your family's healthcare, like what are your needs? You answer those questions, and it tries to give you an overview of what type of plan might work for you versus
giving you a clear breakdown of the exact plan because they don't know what plans are offered to you. So, and also because it's state by state, then you're going to have different tools that you can utilize. Because again, insurance, especially health insurance, breaks down state by state what the requirements are, what the needs are, what your employer is allowed to offer you, what your employer is allowed to not offer you. So unfortunately, there's no like one general resource. It should be. And the closest one you're going to get is healthcare.gov. They're going to give you one of those portals where you can actually answer some of those questions as well, even though it's going to be comparing it up against the plans that are offered on the marketplace. You can still answer the questions. It'll still break down the different types of plans based on your healthcare usage and your family's healthcare usage. So just do that and be mindful of the fact that it's not going to be an exact mirror match for what you may be getting offered through your own employer, but at least it can break down the type of plan and it gives you like a mini summary of the plans, like, oh, you're good for a PPO or HDHP, things like that.
Well, let me pick it back. One thing you said, something, Alexa, that is real. What we have to do, particularly in our race, get to know your benefit administrator. Like whoever run your benefits, call these departments. Like I've been in corporate America for 10 years before I broke out, and I can tell you right now, most of my clients that when I'm rolling over 401ks, whatever the case may be, they don't even speak to their benefit representative. And they just guessing for the most part, right? So I always say, man, get to know who is controlling your money, who's controlling your benefits, because y'all need that shit. You know what I'm saying? They need to be just as important as your barber, just as important as your doctor, just as important as your hairdresser. We control the money. If we control the money, and we're the experts. That's what we do, right? We sit back and look at all these damn plans, from short-term med plans, long-term care, disability, accident coverage, things of that nature. I'm gonna say this because I know Quentin want to say something. I had a client just slipped on some ice, yesterday, and got to go to the ER, and didn't even know that every time she go to the ER that I got an accident policy that's gonna pay her $700 every time she go. Yeah. So that accident, a small minor accident, cost her $700. But was giving her $700, right? But the reason is because she had someone she could talk to. Because I tell all my clients, get to know your broker so we can sit down and talk about your plans. But if she would have done what she did before she spoke to me, she just went to the ER. Yeah. She didn't even know that she had money, right? You got to get to know the people that's controlling your benefits, because we're here to serve, not to take. We're here to serve. Right. And we do a poor job of recognizing that.
And I have to agree with that simply because me being in corporate as long as I have, that's what I see. We're there. We give you all the resources. We give you all the contact to reach out to us to let us know if you have questions. And, the culture is we still don't talk to you until something happens. Don't wait for something to happen. Like we have meetings. If we have an open enrollment meeting, they'll sit there and just be blank in the face. They don't have any questions. I know you have questions because you have no idea how any of this works. But you're not.
We have questions.
You have this is health insurance. This shit is confusing as hell. It's okay. Please ask me these questions, because what I don't like is where they don't say anything. And like you said, they get in a situation where now they're caught up. And from my end, they get caught up, and it's a lot bigger bill when all you had to do was ask. I could have told you what your policy number was, or God forbid, all you had to do was reach out and we could have helped you instead of you waiting 6 months trying to get reimbursed for a misclaim. Or for, subjugation. Like it's a whole lot in the process where your resources are here, but the culture is HR is the enemy. And so benefits is in HR. So we don't reach out to HR because it's just going to be a problem. And that's really not the case. I hate that we have that reputation because we're really there as a resource to help you. We're literally a human resource that we're trying to help you.
Right. And Quentin, what was you going to say, Quentin? Did you have something to add in?
No, I appreciate how Alexis wrapped that thing up in the end there, is because in a lot of companies, what you have a lot of HR folks who are unapproachable. So in Mr. Bill's case, right, he's a person who's vested in his client's best interest, right? His role is to ensure his client understands their policy and he's there to service them. And perhaps in some companies, you have HR benefits people who are there and they have the same mindset. But what I've seen more often than not in my experience in corporate America is that HR is very thin. they're cutting back in HR and other departments around companies. And benefits is oftentimes one of those places that gets cut back as well. And so the role of the benefits administrator in a lot of these companies isn't to do that one-on-one personal customer service type of a situation. In fact, you may have a toll-free 800 number that you can call where you might get some answers to your questions, but that person at your job is really there to just facilitate that October sign up, to make sure all your paperwork is turned in on time, they're reporting on metrics, and then they're doing up service to the insurance company to ensure premiums are being paid and things of that nature. So in a lot of cases, it's not just that the employees aren't taking advantage of these resources. In some cases, the resource just isn't there in the company.
Right.
And
because
sorry, Nino. I was just saying that's a culture change in the industry that's been happening over the last 6 years, where companies are realizing, you know what, this is a total rewards issue. So you can't keep and retain good employees if your total rewards is bad. And total rewards includes your benefits, your short term, your long term, your compensation. It's all wrapped into one gift. And so a lot of companies are now investing in it. So they're realizing, if there's not a concierge line for them to call, if there's not a team member they can reach out to ask questions, even an inbox, just a general inbox for benefits at the company, they're realizing that they're losing good people because they get annoyed, they get frustrated, and they start looking at the whole package and start realizing, you know what, I can probably get better payment. I can probably get a couple more different benefits. If I go down the street to this place instead, why would I stay here where I don't feel I'm valued? I don't feel I'm represented well. I don't feel like they're listening to me. I'll just go somewhere else. And they're finally waking up and seeing, okay, we have to actually invest in all of the total rewards, including benefits. So we have to have people, we have to have boots on the ground to talk to these people.
You know what? I've been working since I was 15 years old. And the only thing I've ever known HR to do is to fire me or have a conversation with me when I done got in trouble with a supervisor. But what really told me that I needed to look at benefits and understand what I'm doing is I don't go to the doctor that often. But every time I go to the doctor and I gotta pay a copay and it's $100, I feel like you robbing me. I feel like at least have a gun when I come here, number one. And then number two, when I go there and I leave and you tell me you want to schedule me for a checkup in 2 weeks and I got to pay the copay again, it's like, okay, so we go together at this point. Like if I got to keep paying you a copay just for you to keep sending me off and coming back, oh no, I don't like that.
Well, hell,
and then
if
another
you
time,
$100 a walk for a copay, shit, you got the wrong plans, brother.
Man,
what were you
that's
doing?
It
was doing shit like this.
Listen. I was doing what everybody does. Hey, listen. I remember one time I went to go get an inhaler, and they put in the description for me to go get an inhaler. Right, I get to the window. Right. And this is a long time ago. I'm at the window. They like $81. And I'm like, all right, cool. At this time, you know what I'm doing. I got money. So I pull out the chunk. I'm like, I hand it to my girl. My girl take the money and she lean her head down and go, can we have the off-brand one, please? And the lady was like, $14. I said, what the fuck was it? Is that a hookup? What do you mean? But I didn't know that existed. You see what I'm saying? I didn't know that. I was ready to pay the $81. I'm tired of her complaining about my breathing. Give me an inhaler, $81. And the lady said, so I looked at the lady. I said, why the fuck you didn't offer me that one at first?
Everything is sales.
I feel like she was trying to overcharge me. I'm looking at her like, damn, I'm driving away mad. Like she just tried to rob me. But those are the things I want us to talk about. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was saying a lot of people don't know how it works. Based on your plan and the agreement your plan has with that pharmacy, their job is to give you the number one offered drug with that, because that drug is what the insurance company has a contract with. So they're gonna give you the name. They're gonna give you that $81. So if you don't know to ask for the generic, they're not gonna offer you the generic because your plan told them to offer you $81.
When she looked and said, "Do you have the non-name brand?" The lady was like, "Yes." 1 second, it's 14. I said $14. So you almost made me pay. I was hurt. But look, so what we gonna do? We gonna go into a commercial break. When we come back, I'm gonna have Quentin explain to us why the economic gap is so wide, and I'm gonna see if Cory can bite his tongue and allow him to finish. But look, let's go to the commercial break. We'll be back in just a minute, y'all.
What's up, ladies? It's your girl Cynthia Bailey from The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I got some good news. Dorbin Salon is back open. I know if you guys are like me, you see I have these braids over here. It's been a struggle during the pandemic. So Dorbin Salon is back open. They sell hair, they do hair, they deliver whatever you need. They got you, boo-boo. Okay? Make sure you guys go show some love and go get your hair done.
My favorite has got to be the peppermint mist, the leave-in conditioner. It's so soothing to your scalp. I've had dry, itchy scalp, and I tell you, it's amazing.
My favorite product with Jay's Butter is the natural flaxseed elixir, especially on the hair that's not mine.
Y'all know what? I really love Jay's Butter. I love Jay's Butter.
G Street Quick Draw Gun Magnet. Unlike the competitor who imitated and sell similar products with more expensive prices, G Street Gun Magnet Mount is specially designed and engineered to provide you the safest and most convenient experience.
Do you want to access your guns quickly in case of emergency? Do you feel safe in your car and at home? Do you want to be able to hold your guns for any different situation? After our research, we have redefined our gun magnet mount for the market to solve any complaints from gun fans. We have designed and redesigned our magnet mount, which is made from premium, eco-friendly material, excellent craft, unique appearance with quick draw and quick load functions, and hold flat surface firearms safely and secure.
Order your G Street Quick Draw Gun Magnet today with free delivery at gstreetedc.square.site.
Look, I suggest that you fall in line and show me my respect. I'm the best. None of y'all a threat. This is not a test. I'm upset. Come around here, I'll make you stand on all your threats.
Yo, it's your man Nino Blac. We are back with the Money Speak Easy with our impeccable guests. We having a great conversation. If you're out there in the world and you're paying attention and you're watching, hit the share, jump in the comment section. I've had 2 people text me and said they are taking notes. They have shared it. I appreciate it. For everybody who's watching, continue to watch, continue to take notes. We're going to get into the thick of it. Let's bring our guests back on. I appreciate it. Thank y'all. I hope y'all wasn't bored by the commercials. We try our best to to add a little flair to them. Now this question is for Quentin. Quentin, according to your research, between 1984 and 2013, black wealth decreased by 75%, while white wealth increased by 14%. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, so thanks, Neil. So I enjoy the commercials, by the way. I love seeing Black excellence displayed, both in the marketing as well as in the products that our folks have created. This issue of Black wealth and why we've seen the decrease in Black wealth has to begin with an understanding of where is it that most people accumulate their wealth in this country. And most wealth is accumulated in most families in the appreciation in their home values, right? So buy a house and you buy it for, say, $250,000. Over the course of 30 years, value your property in Nashville, it may go from 250 to 100. But there's this appreciation number where the value of your house increased at the same paying that loan off over time. And so the owe against the house is decreasing, right? So the difference between the ultimate value, the ultimate price you can sell it for, and the amount that you owe is your equity, or that's your wealth that you have wrapped up in your house, okay? So that's where you begin this conversation, understanding that most people in this country, most families in their country, build their wealth through home ownership. So what happens between 1984 and 2013? Well, you may recall that in 2008, there was this housing bubble that burst, right? It was news all around the country. It was being foreclosed. People were losing their houses. Folks that had purchased 2 and 3 houses to have investment properties found themselves now with 2 and 3 foreclosures, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now you may say, well, that happened across the board. So why would that have an adverse effect on Black people versus anyone else in the country, right? And there are a couple of reasons why. Namely, right, among them is, one example is that the Department of Justice sued Countrywide Financial back in 2008, 2009, 2010, and ultimately the case was settled in 2011. And what the Department of Justice found was that there were over 200,000 Black and Hispanic families that were targeted, right? So there was intentional act by Countrywide Financial employees and agents, right, to target Black families, Black people, Hispanic families, Hispanic people, to put them in loan vehicles that were unstable, even though they qualified for traditional loan vehicles that would allow them to, number one, create equity in their house at the same rate as white people who are in traditional mortgage vehicles. And, right, because these loans were high risk loans, they actually had a much higher rate of foreclosure. A lot of times you may have remember the phrase an ARM, or like an adjustable rate mortgage, where effectively you get into this crap mortgage vehicle and you're paying interest, and you're paying no premium on the front side of this loan. And then after the 10-year mark, you have this balloon payment that's due, right? The idea is you've saved all this money that you should have been paying in interest to begin with these first 10 years. And now you have this money that you've saved that you can now put against this balloon interest, right? So Countrywide is found guilty by the Department of Justice of putting over 200,000 Black people and families into these horrible loan vehicles, right? And because we're already economically starting behind to begin with, when you have this kind of systemic, and I know Cory doesn't like the phrase I'm understanding here, this notion of systemic oppression or systemic racism, but when you have these systemic situations where the entire system now, right, is operating against a group of people, those people are at a disadvantage, right? And you no matter how much you know, no matter how much knowledge you have, no matter how hard you work, you cannot overcome these systemic attacks against your family, against your community, and against your people, right? And so because we're at a disadvantage to begin with, when that happens, it takes us so much longer to then regroup and to rebuild and to get back to the place where we were to begin with. And so you do see white wealth increasing by 75% and black wealth decreasing by 75% and white wealth increasing by 14%. To suggest that there's not a systemic element to that kind of an issue is also then to suggest that Black folk are just either ignorant, stupid, or wholly irresponsible.
Well, let me jump in on that because, I was with Wells Fargo, and unfortunately during that time, I was in the subprime market. And I agree with most of the stuff you said. I understand systemic issues happen. I mean, you watch the documentary, The Color of Law, it'll tell you about redlining, and what happened in 2008 was reverse redlining, right? So the latter happened in 2008, though. Being stupid, being dumb, being ignorant, being financially irresponsible, right? I've sat down with plenty of people who did not want me to read the docs all the way through, who didn't want me to read the docs all the way through, who knew they were paycheck to paycheck, but since that no doc loan, no docs, what was it called? No docs, meaning that if you you didn't have to show up your pay stub if you had a 680 or higher, right? You know how many folks jumped on that? Like Tom Burrell wrote a book called Brainwash, and Brainwash talked about how advertisers go at us back in 1979. So me, I ain't trying to hear that shit in 2008. We fell for the okie doke again. We consistently fall for the okie doke again, right? Most of these guys most of these brown and Black families, they were college educated. They refused to do their homework. So until we take some ownership on how the system oppresses instead of rushing into something that we don't benefit from. We're gonna always give systemic oppression power. We don't never want to sit back and say, "No, that was our fault." No, I ain't read the docs. Damn, you know what? Shit, I was geeked up. I had to show my pay stub. I knew I made stated income. That's what it was called. It was called stated income. So if I had a 680 or higher credit score, I could come in and tell you I made $7,200, a month, when I knew I made $3,600 a month. And that was ran rampant. So Countrywide just got caught with their fingers in the hand jar. All companies do that. You just said something key, with the hope that they save. That's how no interest credit cards get you, with the hope that you save, right? That's how insurance companies get you when they sell you term insurance policies, with the hope that in 30 years you're self-insured. That's their umbrella of protection. But our dumb asses continuously fall for the banana in the tailpipe. And then what makes it very difficult to argue systemic oppression, because we know that shit is real. It is real. But goddamn, how come we ain't gonna pick up no book and read about it? Why do we refuse to why do we keep repeating history? Because it is ignorance. It is the lack of education. It is follow-up. It's all of that we are refusing to do. Like, for example, the new fake outrage is Judas and the Messiah. Who didn't know about Chairman Fred Hampton and how he got assassinated? Right? People been talking about collective economics and unity for the longest. It's fucking 2021. We ain't unifying. Because we've been talking about this since the 60s, since the 40s, since the 30s. So at some point, we have to point the fingers at ourselves and say, damn, why do we continuously fall for the same tricks? Now, what happened in 2008, man, that did devastate us. But damn, it's 2016, 2017, when the market started rebounding, why we ain't jumping to that market again with the proper education?
Because folks are still
trying to get educated.
I disagree. So, and I think there are a couple of things, right? So to begin with, like, I can agree with you that, yes, we should be educated. Yes, there are things that we need to learn, that we need to understand. But for me, when white people are not being enticed into those same vehicles, and Black people are intentionally being enticed by these companies into these vehicles, for me, you cannot talk about, and you cannot discredit the idea. Hang on a second. Brother, do me a favor. Hang on a second now. I heard
I give your respect. I get that to you, but that's our fault, man. That's our fault.
I disagree, because to say that it's our fault means that it is then the white person's fault that they were not entrapped in these vehicles. Right? It is to suggest that because white people were not entrapped into these same vehicles that we were entrapped in, that they are somehow better or did right or were good, when the reality is that they just were not manipulated in the same way. They have the exact same lack of knowledge. They are just as ignorant as we are on these vehicles, on these tools, on these financial systems. And the only difference is that Countrywide said, we are going to target Black folk for this. The Department of Justice determined that there was strategic communication where employees were told to put Black people in these vehicles, right? And so, yeah, I get the whole thing that we should have read the documents. I get the whole thing that some people, misstated their income because they were trying to get qualified for the super house that they wanted and they knew they couldn't afford it from Jump Street. I get all of that stuff that happened and that took place, but I also understand that Black people have been targeted, are targeted, and will continue to be targeted in this country by our economic systems, because it is a simple way to keep us oppressed and to keep us economically down. Now, I'm not saying.
Let me jump into this real quick. I want to say something. From a logical standpoint, you're 1,000% accurate. From an emotional standpoint, you're wrong. The reality of the matter is this. The Honorable Farrakhan told us business is warfare. We going out there, we going to war with lilies and roses and shit, telling our oppressors, please accept us. They go to war, and they're stuck on code. Their code is to ensure that they stay ahead of us. We're the only ones asking for forgiveness. We're the only ones asking for fair practice. We see that's not happening. It's not happening. So when do we turn course? When do
Well,
we
I
turn
can
course?
say I can say this coming from the side of the spectrum that I'm on. I'm on the technical side, like the really technical support side of things. Quentin he got a point, man. White people ain't that smart. Like
No,
you
and
know,
I think that's what y'all missing. I know white folks ain't smart. It's not true. I get that. That's the point y'all missing. However, no one, if I got a system where I get to benefit from, name any, if you understand the history, there's any history, any countries that got taken over, anytime they let somebody in, they got took it over by the people who they let in. So these white folks, they know the system worked to their benefit. They're not going to allow us to get in. My man just posted something about the Reconstruction period. Doing that was the most profitable 10 years ever in Black America, because during that time, they really tried to honor the Constitution.
Yes.
They really tried. So they had the military protecting us. So we had our own cities, we had our own governors, we had our own mayors. That's the main reason Abraham Lincoln got assassinated, because he said, you know what? What's right is right. We finna teach them about economics. We're gonna open up the Freedmen's Bank. The dumbass Southern white slave owner said, hell no, we can't have that because we'll be working for them. Right. So I'm big on systemic oppression. I get that wholeheartedly. But it's almost like you used to play ball. You know damn well if you went to the basketball court with your ball and you decided to leave it with your friend because you got to go home early, you know you're not seeing that ball tomorrow. Somebody going to take that ball. Somebody going to steal that ball. You're not getting that ball back. That's how they think. And it shows that anytime they give us a sliver of interest, a sliver, put us inside, we dominate. Look at Simone Biles. Look how they said, she's so damn great, she can't win gold medals. Like, they give her bogus score because she is this dominant. That's how they view us. They give us an interest. What I'm saying, they give us an interest, we dominate. So we have to know that. We don't know how our enemy think. So from a lot of standpoint, everything Quentin said, man, I'm 10 toes down. I believe what you're saying, but we still fall for the okie doke.
So let me ask you this question. Quentin, did you have anything else to say? Because I don't.
No,
okay.
Go ahead.
So my question to you, Cory, is how can a life insurance policy strengthen the economic value of a Black heritage?
And first of all, we can't predict death, right? So if you got a $1 billion policy, $100,000 policy, $200,000 policy, and you die, especially during the season of a cough could kill you, your family life fortunes could turn around at the snap of the finger. We all know that, right? Right. You do have some policies, if you know how to structure the whole life policy right, or index universal life policy right, and if you look at it as a small investment towards your financial portfolio, by the time you're 65, 70 years old, you can start drawing $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year tax free. We don't know what the taxes is going to be going forward, right? So we don't know that. So to have tax free income in your 60s, that's gravy, right? Because what really eat most of our paychecks up, which is taxes. So when you have a properly structured cash value insurance policy, whether it's an IUL, a VUL, a UL, or a whole life, depending on how your broker structure it, that money is tax free. And if you put it in a trust, that's another topic we could have, for, another conversation we could have, to where you can keep that trust constantly going forward, right? And I always give this example when people talking about don't buy whole life. Well, when O.J. Simpson, when he lost the civil trial, the civil trial, you take all your assets, right? He was able to put $19 million in a cash value insurance policy. Most Black folks don't know that cash value insurance policies in at least 45 states, it's lawsuit protected.
Now,
so
I don't want you to.
Jail,
hey,
so while he was in jail.
Don't go too deep. Don't go too deep about cash value. We gonna talk about it later.
When he was in jail, that $19 million was growing. It was growing. You know what I'm saying? And the Browns, unfortunately, RIP to the wife, they couldn't touch it because it was an asset that was protected by the law. So when we know the inner workings of these particular policies, that's how you could create intergenerational wealth within our community, right? But you have to sit down with someone that could show you how to do it. But most importantly, the reason why it's difficult in our community because the median income for African Americans is what, $31,000. So they can't afford to put $400, $500, $600 a month. And because I'm the broker that's gonna tell you, no, you're not finna put $50 a month in this policy unless you're doing it for your daughter, unless you're doing it for your grandkids, right? Because they're young and they can take advantage of the compound interest. But if you're a grown ass person talking about, I mean, I got $100, but I want it's not gonna work for you. And so that's where the disconnect comes. You got to be willing to spend $300, $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 a month in these type of policies to get its maximum benefit, right? But most people don't have that. Hell, you got people barely putting $25 a month in a Roth IRA or even matching their 401k. You know what I'm saying? So in our community, we can't take advantage of it because we have an income issue. Right, we're not making the money to truly, you know what I'm saying, to shorten the wealth gap on top of home ownership. And on speaking on top of home ownership, we're taught home ownership wrong. See, I don't believe in home ownership is a real investment off the rip. I tell all my clients, hey, you need to get a multi-unit. Because money is designed to be made, not spent. For your home to be an asset, you need to be collecting mailbox money. So when you got a multi-unit, when you got 3 people paying you rent, right? Because somebody gonna pay rent, right? Paying you rent your first year. Let's say when you do that for 1 year, you get your multi-unit. Because see, the problem is we want our first house to be our dream house. We don't want to wait till year 10 to where we got 20 rental properties on us. Or like I'm currently doing 20 rental properties under us, some commercial space, right? To go get the big boys so our assets could pay for our liabilities. We're not in that. We're in such a rush to get the $400,000 house now because we can afford it versus getting the duplex. So on top of what you said, we're miseducated about home ownership from the rip.
And in 2000, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, 2018, 2019, they was getting big houses to use just for Airbnb purposes, just to get the bread to pay for the house that they wanted. I know 2 people that lived in the apartment the whole entire time. They had they own Airbnbs, just generating income. You know what I'm saying?
Generating income, right? So we got to learn how to generate income.
Right.
You know, we got to get to that point to where we could generate income. Life insurance, if it's structured properly, could generate a lot of income for your family. Even while you are gone, it could leave a lot of money.
I want to throw this question to Quentin, and then I got a question for Alexis. Quentin, what he was talking about. He was talking about how we don't even make enough money. Why do you think that is? Why you think we don't even make enough money to even invest into the policies that's going to generate the income after retirement?
Yeah, I think it's by design, right? I mean, if you look at the role that Black people have had in this country since its inception, we have never been intended to be equal benefactors of the prosperity that is America. We have always been expected to be facilitators. We have been cogs in the wheel to help produce wealth for other people in this country. And so as you go down through history, right, you can talk about slavery. If we just talk about wages and income, right, earned income. So our disparity in earned income begins with slavery, where we, quite frankly, were not paid for our labor. And then during Reconstruction, as good as Reconstruction was, a lot of Black folk were sharecroppers during Reconstruction, which meant that we were working somebody else's land. We were getting a small percentage of that which we produced on the land, and somebody else was getting the greater portion of what we produced. And at the end of the year, we had a contract that says if we made enough, then we could buy the land. And damn it, just every year we barely fell short of making enough to buy the land. And so then you fast forward to, past Reconstruction into Jim Crow, then we can't even get jobs. There just are not jobs for Black people in this country during that time period. And if you can find a job, it's a lower paying, low skill job. and you do not have union representation. So again, there is this issue of compensation gap and difference. And then if you go forward, to now, shoot, if my name is DeAndre Deshaun Johnson III, my resume is not even getting looked at in this country. My resume is going off to the side, and so my potential for getting a fair compensation for my work performed is very low in this country. It is very low in this country, and I think it's by design.
Right. So with that being said, I know we kind of talked about life insurance, and we talked about the importance of it and how it can generate a wealth in a family, or at least give you something, a piece of wealth to start off with, so you can get compound interest the whole nine. So my question to you, Alexis, is: in addition to health insurance, some employers offer wellness programs for their employees, right? And this is a voluntary program that encourage employees to exercise and make smarter decisions, diet decisions, and typically in exchange for awards or rewards per se. What kind of programs and rewards have you seen that would benefit families if they knew more about them, that they could take advantage of?
So usually, and I don't know, can you guys hear me? Is that okay? Okay. I had to get the headphones. I was told I was sounding a little spotty earlier, so I hope this helps make it a little better.
You sound like you was on a Boost chirp.
See, ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. We pay good AT&T over here. We ain't got time for no Boost service. I'm gonna need some refund or something on my bill. Let me make a call in the morning.
What they say, Cory? Where you at?
Where you at?
Okay,
so,
but no.
To answer your question, yes. So what a lot of people do is your employer, every year they give you your open enrollment documents. They send you postcards in the mail. Hey, get ready for open enrollment. Hey, here are the changes for the upcoming plan year. And what do people do? Throw it in the trash. Because I'm just going to do what I did last year. I'm just going to roll over. And a lot of employers make the same mistake where they do what's called a passive enrollment. And so a passive enrollment is when you don't have to do anything. If you don't log into the system and make any changes, it will roll you automatically into the same plan you already have from the past year. I like to always do active enrollments. I'm forcing you to go in and make these selections because you need to see what you can see. So when it comes to total rewards, when it comes to those awards and those wellness programs, Nino, I tell you this in all honesty, people don't take advantage. It is very clear. It is it's simple stuff. So some employers will do something like, okay, so every 2 months you log into this portal and you log how many steps you took on so many days out of the month. They don't check it. You can just go in there and put in, I walked 10,000 steps for a week. Okay, they check off that one. All right, so you did that one check. The next check might be you got to log in and watch a 5-minute video about heart health. Okay, I logged in, watched a 5-minute video about heart health. Okay, you got that check. Last check is you got to log into the portal, watch a 2-minute video about diabetes, and then take a quick quiz. It's not difficult stuff. It's not anything where you need to study. It's not anything where, they really don't care if you get the answers right. They just want you to participate. And in you participating in those 3 checks, that automatically knocks off almost, for a lot of companies, $800 off your premium for the year. The premium that you have to pay out of your check, you get a discount on. That's $800 off top. All you have to do with those 3 checks. People won't do those 3 checks. As simple as they sounded, they won't even do it. And again, as an employer, we can't go behind you and check if you walk 10,000 steps. But we can track if you watched a 5-minute video or a 2-minute video, and the website tells you, yeah, this person logged in and watched it. Check. It's not, we don't really care. We want you to be an active participant in your benefits. Another reward that I've seen is where in the wellness program, they tie it to your preventative care. So if you're enrolled in the health insurance that the employer is offering you, they'll tie your reward into your preventative care. So all of your annual exams, age-appropriate annual exams. So your general physician physical. If you're of a certain age, as a woman, you have to go in for a pap smear. You have to go in for a mammogram. If you're a man, you have to do a prostate check. Checking off your annual exams. I've seen that knock off another $800 off your premium. So again, employers are trying to get you involved because you know what? A healthier employee is a better employee. Because you know what? We can look, even
want to look at it from a negative standpoint, okay, we can work them longer if they're healthier. If they're not sickly. If you're sick and sickly, we can't get the benefit. We can't get the return on investment off you because you out of work on disability. And that costs us money. If you want to look at it negative, you can do it that way. But honestly, I like to look at it positive for myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, why wouldn't I want myself to be healthier? I don't care about that job. I want me to be healthy. So why wouldn't I do everything that I can do to make that cost go down and still take care of myself?
Miss Collins says she got $800 off because she checked the box that says I don't smoke and got another $800 off for a physical.
Can I say something? Alexis basically is mimicking what I've been saying. It sounds like you saying we don't do enough.
I knew you was gonna say that. I knew you was gonna say
just
that.
accountable, right? That's what it sounds like to me. We don't take advantage of the resources out here. That's what I'm hearing, right? So if that's a problem in the workplace, you remember that saying, everywhere you go, there you are?
Right.
Oh, okay. I'm just trying to make some sense. That's all.
Okay. Now, Miss Marshall. Miss Marshall.
Alicia's question. Yes, I absolutely do. This is exactly how I explain it to employees.
Miss Marshall, you may not have been on here, but she was expressing how that a great deal of them don't even come see HR. Most of the time, people come to HR only when there's a problem, so they don't even come. They don't even go to HR to even get this information. And it's something a saying that I've been mimicking for years. Because people have a problem with my delivery. They have a problem with Cory delivery. They have a problem with Malcolm X delivery and Martin Luther King delivery. So when I ask people about their employee benefits, they say, I don't never get nothing. I said, it come in the mail. They're like, I think I throw it away. I said, well, why you throw it away? Because I don't check my mail. I said, so how you want them to send it? By pigeon, motherfucker? Like, how do you want them to deliver the message to you for you to take advantage of it? And so
delusional. Niggas just they're delusional. And the unfortunate reality is that they want your emergency to become theirs.
Right.
Right.
And their emergency become yours, rather. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, this is our history. This is a history. This is why I don't get on the systemic step, because look at our pattern. So,
Alexis, from your experience in HR, is it just Black employees who don't read the information, who don't get enrolled in the programs, who don't read the stuff that comes to them in the mail, or is it across the board?
It is definitely not just the Black employees. I will tell you this. It is definitely a socioeconomic issue. Okay, so the lower paid employees, that's the common thread with lower paid employees anywhere. The higher paid employees, that's not the common thread at all. They know exactly what they're doing, and they know when to ask questions and what to ask.
I just want to throw out there, I think we need to be careful and cautious when we label or denigrate Black people because of behaviors that everybody is engaged in, or because of behaviors.
You gotta let him finish. You gotta let him finish.
all I'm saying is that if this is stuff that everybody's doing, then let's not talk about niggas this, niggas that, niggas this, niggas that, because that's white supremacism.
I ain't never heard Quentin say nigga before. So this is we need a bomb. Can we drop a bomb for that? Quentin just said nigga. Can we drop a bomb, please?
We're in last place of everything that matters.
Okay,
we're in last place.
I understand that, and
you understand that if we don't give a fuck about white people and what they doing, we're in last place.
All I'm trying to say is if we're going to help Black people, then let's help Black people with the stuff that we really need help with, and let's not spend our time denigrating and talking down to Black people who are doing the same stuff that everybody else is doing. Right? Let's talk about how we go and we help somebody instead of just blaming us for the situation.
Okay. So listen. So to piggyback off what Alexis was saying, also, and Alexis, you can vouch for me if possible. A lot of major insurance companies also offer discounts up to 30% for monthly fees for selected gyms. Employers often offer discount on gym memberships as well. Some even offer $250 per year in reimbursement. So you can check with your HR rep to find out if your company participates. I know at one point in time, Blue Cross had something called Blue something, Blue Shoe or Blue something, where you had access to all of the gyms and all you had to do was pay like $35. Like all of it.
It was
Goes
Blue
gyms,
Access. Yeah.
Blue Access.
And it was
all
easy
right, yeah.
because they either had it set up where you can either get it removed via direct deposit, so you didn't have to think about it, and you had all that access, or where they could where you could set up a bank account and it could be removed that way. But yeah, that was definitely something that happened, and it was a lot of people did take advantage of it. But yeah, it was definitely a real thing, and that is a common thing that employers offer.
In the last 5 years, rents have doubled in Nashville. They have literally doubled. Right? I used to pay $700. Now I'm paying $1,400. Guess what did not double? My income did not double. Right? So we can talk about these programs. They're going to cost me $35 a month. And we can say it's just $35 a month. Right? And we can speak from this place of privilege because we have an extra $35 a month that we may be pissing into the pan, going out to eat here and going out to eat there and going everywhere else. But let's talk about those individuals who are working in these jobs who do not have $35 extra a month to spend. Let's talk about the person that is struggling to pay just their rent or their light bill. You talked about your grandmother who was like a year behind on the water bill. We have folks today in our community who are struggling because they are getting an unfair wage. They're not getting a living wage, and they cannot afford to meet the bare minimum needs and necessities of their lives. And so before we talk about the $35 to go to the gym, let's talk about how we get them a fair wage so that they can put food on the table for their kids. They can have lights every day, that they don't have to worry about their heat going out because they did not pay the utility bill.
Okay, so so piggybacking off what Antonio said, Cory, what is a health class for life insurance, and how are what are some of the classifications or factors for a health class?
Well, if you average health, you might have some high blood pressure here, this, that, and the third. You're gonna get raised standard non-tobacco, right? If you in good shape, you're gonna get preferred non-tobacco. If you in damn good shape, you're gonna get preferred, very preferred non-tobacco, right? So the better the shape you are, the lower your insurance premium going to be, the lower the fees inside of your accounts, right? Right. But what typically affect us is that many of us, a lot of clients that I deal with, they have pre-existing conditions. So they tend to be standard. They also smokers too, right? Not just cigarettes, but weed as well, right? That you got to put that down on the application. So they tend to pay higher insurance premiums because they're not doing the necessary things to ensure that these premiums are low in cost, right? Most of them in bad shape, in bad health, you know.
Right.
But the better shape the younger you are and the better shape that you're in, you're going to get the best premium. I mean, that's just across the board.
Right. So, and it's always cheaper because that's what you mean by the best premium. You mean it's going to be cheaper, right?
Absolutely, man. I mean, we're talking like, I did a quote for, let me tell you, I did a quote for a 25-year-old smoker and a 25-year-old non-smoker for $150,000 policy. That, the one, she only had to pay $17.83. The smoker was $52. At 25 years old, why are you spending $52 for a term insurance policy because you're a smoker? Like, you get what I'm saying? But this other young lady paying $17.
Somebody, Miss Graves said, "Are they going to test you for weed or something?" Asking for a friend.
We got some companies that just go straight off your MIB, which is like the credit bureau of your health. So as long as you straight at the doctor, you know, it's insurance companies that's not going to test you for the weed. However, if I know that you smoke weed, I have to put it on the application. Now, I would rather not know that, you know what I'm saying, and let them go check your history. But once you tell me you smoke cigarettes or you smoke, you know, weed, I'm going to put it on there because if something were to happen to you the very next day, the first place those insurance companies gonna check, hey, they need to see that report. They need to see the autopsy, and they're going to look at them lungs. And if they see any kind of smoke in those lungs, they're going to void your contract because your application may say one thing, but your body said another.
Okay. So, Quentin, I don't know if you are aware, but if you are you aware of any life insurance race gaps at all?
I'm not. It sounds like from what Mr. Bill said that we are overinsured in most cases where we are insured. I guess I was kind of thinking as he was talking, and I would love it if he could speak to this. Is in general, so when we are insured, we are overinsured. What percentage of our population is insured versus the percentage that's uninsured? Because in my mind, I was surprised to hear that we're overinsured as a population. So I'm kind of curious.
Well, one of the things, our grandparents believed in insurance. Unfortunately, they got most of their policies from racist insurance agents that kept knocking on the door telling you, you need this, you need that, you need that. That's why grandma don't know what her 57 insurance policies are at. Right? You sit down to talk to your mother, your grandmother, ask them how many policies they have. They got about 11 of them, don't even know where it's at. Right? Because that racist ass insurance agent kept knocking on the door saying you need this, saying you need that, saying you need this. So that's where most of the overinsured come from is our elders, right? The funeral home was beating us across the head with the pre-need. It's just so many ways that because of our lack of education, but the numbers show we're overinsured. That's why I said we have the wrong term insurance, right? Like I'm of the belief that you need to sit down with your broker at least once or twice a year. I do insurance appraisals for my clients. Let me appraise your current policy because your policy that you had 5 years ago may not be relevant right now. We probably could transfer the cash value and put into something else. Most insurance agents ain't doing insurance appraisals. Why? Because most insurance agents can't even stay in this industry. That's a whole nother topic though, right? So that's one. Number two, the insurance industry, they already know that we believe that we're Superman. You talk to someone that's 22, 23 years old. Well, I need life insurance. I don't need life insurance right now. I don't have no kids. I ain't worried about life insurance. Dog, man, I don't have no kids, man. I don't care about life insurance, man. Why I'm gonna spend $20 a month for it? Because when your ass 43 years old, you overweight, you got about 4 kids, you got a mortgage. That $20 policy I was trying to sell you for during your wealth building years, now it's going to cost you about $80, $90 some dollars a month. Right. You know what I'm saying? So as long as we keep thinking that we're too young for life insurance, regardless of the education, we're too young. We don't see it as a priority. Young people don't buy life insurance when they don't even know that if a young person could do about $250, $300 a month, 23 years old, in a well-structured policy that's been averaging about 9% a year, by the time they're 65 years old, they could probably have $600,000 tax-free. And me being a former banker, I can look at their statement and see where they're spending that money at. And best believe it ain't toward an asset. It's toward a liability, a justified liability, because they're young, they get to do what they want to do. We don't start taking finances in our community seriously till we're in our mid-40s. Because life becomes real.
Is a baby mama a liability?
No, but a baby mama should have life insurance on her baby father because she has an insurable interest on that guy, and vice versa. A father should have life insurance on his baby mother because he has an insurable interest because she is the mother of his kids.
Now damn well baby mama and baby daddies ain't even talking like that. They have no damn insurance on each other. Come on now.
If they want to continue to play in the poverty parade, go ahead. You just got to call folks out. If you want to continuously play in the poverty parade, then you do what broke folk do all the time. Continue. That's how the wealth gap don't get expanded, right? Because we got petty issues. Because we got kids having kids. When it's time to think like adults, when it comes to finances.
I think it's perfect that he paused right there. Like
still immature.
I think it's perfect that he. That is the perfect. Can you shoot the gun off again? Oh, okay, let's go. Hey, but we heard you, man. We got you. We understand 110% of what you said. What we gonna do? We gonna take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I got a couple more questions for y'all, and we gonna get into the thick of it. We gonna wrap this thing up, man. I appreciate y'all so much for being patient. Quick commercial break, okay?
Hey everybody, Eddie George here. I just want to encourage you to shop at local small businesses like Dollar City in Nashville, Tennessee, your neighborhood convenient dollar store providing various brands and different products. They need your support. We got to go support them during times like these. Check them out. They do an exceptional job. Support our small businesses. Thank you.
Contact the Jared Dalton Agency for all of your social media management needs. We do promo videos, graphics, and content creation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So contact the Jared Dalton Agency today at www.jareddaltonagency.com.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Check it out. It's free. What? And we like free. No way. And they also have tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Okay. Anchor will do all the work for you. No. So it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other media outlets. What? You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Yo, we back. We getting into a great conversation, great banter, great knowledge being dropped, a whole lot of gems being given. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for sharing. Thanks for being in the comment section. Keep it coming. We got a lot more to go. We're going to try to get to this end of this, and I'm hoping that by the time you all get done, man, you can have a better understanding, and you can actually reach out to the people that's on this live that's dropping these gems and ask questions, because that's what they're here for. That's what they're available for. Drop your questions in the comment section as well. And let's do it. Let's do it, man. Let's bring the guests back. Let's get into this conversation. All right. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for the commercial break. I hope that wasn't boring, but I appreciate y'all. Quick question, Alexis. Let's see here. Quick question. What question we at? I got you. When we're looking at saving money, Alexis, when we're looking at saving money, what pre-tax accounts can we use to pay our healthcare related expenses from the employer side of things? Anything like that available?
Yeah, so it depends on the employer and what they offer you. So a lot of employers, I can't say all because all of them won't offer you this, will offer you a flexible savings account, an FSA. Okay. So a flexible a healthcare FSA, let's be very clear because there's different types of FSAs. So what you're specifically asking about is a healthcare flexible spending account. So with a healthcare flexible spending account, that's where when you get ready to enroll, and you have to do this every year, you have to set aside predetermined dollars. So you say, I want to take X number of dollars for this upcoming plan year. So that's what I'm going to use for my expenses. So a lot of people who take advantage of these plans, because of the limits in these plans, they usually look at their past expenses. So the expenses from the previous year, what am I paying in prescription? What am I paying at office visits? What's my copay going to be? They'll calculate all that out. And they say, okay, if I calculate how much I spend on prescriptions, copays, specialist visits, diagnostic tests, things like that, how much did I spend out of pocket? I want to put as much of that aside as possible. The advantage of that is these are pre-tax dollars that you're putting aside.
So putting aside pre-tax dollars is what's giving you, that's why it's in a tax advantage plan. So putting aside those pre-tax dollars for those eligible expenses, it is a savings. Because now when that plan year starts and you start using that FSA debit card or sending in those receipts to get those FSA reimbursements, it's not coming out of your actual pocket, if that makes sense. You have been put it aside every paycheck from your check, from your gross amount, not your net amount. You're putting it aside in that FSA. And when you do that, that's pre-tax money going in to a special account for those services. You also have what's called a dependent care flexible spending account. So a dependent care flexible spending account is not what you think. A lot of people hear that name and say, oh, I can use that to pay for all expenses of my dependents. Wrong. You can use that to pay for daycare expenses, childcare expenses, summer care expenses for children up to a certain age. You can also use that account if you're going to be using it to pay for elder care expenses. So if you have like legal custody of an elderly relative that you can get quantified by the court, then you can actually use a dependent care FSA, again, pre-tax dollars, to pay for the home health nurse that keeps them, to pay for if they're going to an elder care or a senior care facility during the day while you work. Those kinds of expenses can be paid with a dependent care FSA. So the issue with FSAs, they're usually a use it or lose it type of plan. So you have some where you can set your amount aside because the government tells you every year what the limit is you can set aside. If you don't use it all by the end of that plan year, then you're either going to lose those funds, or depending on how your employer has it set up, you may be able to roll over a certain amount. So if you have a rollover option, then that means your employer says, okay, you didn't use all your FSA dollars. However, we have it set up where you can roll over $300 for next year, and and then you can use it for that. A lot of people will get into these FSAs and they don't pay attention to what their employer is offering them. And that's how they get caught with the use it or lose it. Because if your employer doesn't offer a rollover, if you're coming from a rollover company and you go to a new company that doesn't have that, you're just going to lose that money. So you're putting aside $500. You didn't use $500. You can't roll over but $200. You have now lost $300. So that's where people get kind of turned off, and they don't really look into how they can take advantage of those tax advantaged accounts.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that, because I have been into the situation quite often where I didn't know they didn't roll over and just lost, and I just lost it, and I'm thinking, what the shit? Why I didn't know that? You know what I mean? Yeah. Also, quick question for you. Who was about to say something? Nobody? Okay. Quick question for you, Alexis. What is a HDHP and a PPO?
So that's why I was trying not to go into health savings accounts, because I was like, I think he might ask me about HDHP. For that, because that's a whole different beast. All right. So HDHP, that's an acronym for high deductible health plan. So the way that's set up is this plan has to have two things in order to qualify by the government to be registered as a high deductible health plan. So It has to have a high deductible, which means, and the government sets that threshold every year. So for instance, if the government says in order for your high deductible health plan to qualify, as far as the government regulations are set, your deductible minimum has to be at least $20,000 for an individual coverage, for an individual plan. That's high. That's a very high deductible for an individual. But if that's the qualifier, that's the quantifier. Now, with the high deductible health plan, you get another option for a tax advantaged account. That account is a health savings account, or HSA. Now, an HSA does work very similar to a healthcare FSA. Here's the difference. You can change how much you put into a health savings account at any time during the plan year. With an FSA, you have to sit it and forget it at open enrollment. You can't touch it unless you have a qualifying life event. With an HSA, the other part is you take it with you. So with the HSA, if you leave that company, the company doesn't keep your HSA funds. With an FSA, you leave that company and you didn't use all those funds, the company thanks you for your contribution because they get to keep those funds. You don't get to take the FSA.
Points, please.
With the HSA, it's the only triple tax advantage benefit plan that we have in America. I say it's triple tax advantage because of this. It's not taxed when it goes in, so similar to an FSA, you're putting aside pre-tax dollars. The interest that it earns in the account that it's in also doesn't incur any taxes on it, so it's not taxed while it's sitting there earning interest. It's also not taxed when it comes out of the plan when you use it for eligible expenses. So again, it's the only triple tax advantage plan that America is even offering people.
So
that's a great plan too. Great plan.
If you can afford it.
If you can afford it. Hey, we talked about that. You gotta afford it, right? You gotta pay to play in these states, baby.
If you can afford it. So Nino, going back to what you said earlier, where you said, well, I always just pick the cheapest plan. This is what's tripping people up. A high deductible health plan will almost always be the cheapest plan as far as premiums, because you're going to pay less out of pocket per paycheck, but you're going to pay more out of pocket because with that high deductible plan, if you go to the doctor and it's not a preventative visit, you're paying the full cost of that office visit. Most Americans don't even know what a full cost office visit costs. If you go and it's not a preventative, most doctors will charge you just walking in the door. Because again, high deductible plans don't have copays. So just walking for a sick visit, you're looking at $120.
I'm telling you, I know, $130. I know.
Yeah, they ain't looked at nothing. They ain't even said hi. You walk through the door, bam, $130.
Hey, but Alexis, I bet from a psychological standpoint, because I know when I had a high deductible, I did my best to stay in shape.
Yes,
I know.
Because you ain't trying to come out of pocket.
Right.
Yes.
Listen.
How when I'm getting back into selling health plans, but how I talk to my clients, look, you either gonna pay on the back end, or you're gonna pay on the front end.
On the front end.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So
but you will
Alexis,
pay.
If you
Alexis, I keep hearing you use a word, or maybe it's a term, but I don't know the definition of it, but I wonder if you can break it down. What is a deductible and how do you reach it?
So your deductible, and that's why when I'm doing these benefit classes at work, when I'm doing like new hire benefits, I go through key terms. Because I'm going to tell you, 95% of the people in there, I don't care how many companies they work for, how many benefit plans, I don't care what salary bracket you in, they don't know the definitions of these terms and how they work. So that's a very good question. So a deductible.
Wait, really quick. And for Quentin's sake, what color are they?
Listen.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Listen. So when I was a senior rep at Vanderbilt University on the campus side, I would have to do orientations for the directors, for the vice chancellors, and for even the faculty members.
They all white.
And I also had to do it for all the union employees. And the benefits section was the common equalizer for all of them.
Right.
Nobody understands it. Doesn't matter where they come from. Nobody understood it. So to get back to the question, deductible. So the deductible is the set amount that your plan has that says you need to hit this dollar amount out of pocket before we kick in our portion. So most insurance plans are an 80-20 split, right? So you're thinking, okay, well, if I get insurance, I pay, 20% and the insurance pays 80%. Sure, after you hit your deductible. So after you've racked up this amount of money, then the insurance is going to pay their 80%. So for instance, if you're in a high deductible plan and your deductible for one person is, let's say, $20,000, you need to hit $20,000 out of pocket before the insurance says, okay, well, now let's do our split. We're going to do a 90-10 split for you. So you only pay 10%. Right. Now, the percent that you're paying out of pocket after you've hit your deductible, that's another term called coinsurance.
Right.
So, and a lot of people misunderstand what coinsurance means. Coinsurance is strictly the percentage amount that you're paying after your deductible is met. So deductible and coinsurance and copays, when you're looking at a plan for open enrollment, those are the three big numbers you really need to be looking at.
So say for instance, I break my leg and have to go to the doctor, does
Mhm.
that visit go towards my deductible?
Depending on the plan, yeah.
So if I put, let's say, Gorilla Glue in my hair, does that go
Well,
towards my deductible?
yes. You know what? Now, what doesn't go towards the deductible are your preventative visits because they're covered at 100%. And that's still
Absolutely.
accurate thanks to the Affordable Care Act, which they
Okay.
could not dismantle. So thank goodness. So stuff
Okay.
like, and then co-pays. Co-pays don't go towards your deductible either.
Got
If
you.
that
Got you.
makes sense.
Oh, well, I thank you. I appreciate it because I didn't know what the deductible was until you just told me. Thank you.
No
I
problem.
appreciate it. Now, Quentin, my question to you is, from listening to what they have expressed, both on the insurance side, also on the life insurance and the health insurance side, do you see a way that these can be used as vehicles to stimulate the Black economy at all?
I mean, to some degree, right? So when you're talking about life insurance, that really helps the next generation. It doesn't help you today. It doesn't help you in your current living, et cetera, et cetera. And if you live in poverty today, you're most likely, with the exception of the retirement ones where you can withdraw, as Cory mentioned earlier.
Or the term insurance with living benefits. We're talking about that later because that's the new type of life insurance that we need to know about.
Okay.
So generally speaking, life insurance is for the next generation, right? Some of the things that Alexis is talking about in terms of health benefits, they absolutely can, because if I'm healthier, number one, I can be at work more often and I can make more money. If I'm healthier, then I'm spending less on care at the doctor's office because I'm spending the time and the money up front on prevention at the doctor's office. And prevention, 9 times out of 10, is going to be far less expensive than medical care is going to be once you have an issue that needs to be taken care of. When you talk about the health savings and the dependent savings accounts and the flexible spending accounts, all of those are beneficial because, again, they have tax benefits on stuff that you're going to spend anyway, right? So you're going to spend this money anyway, and this gives you the ability to spend it in pre-tax dollars rather than paying taxes and then ultimately sort of spending more money out of pocket to make these things happen. So each one of these plays a role in giving a household more money to live off of. And theoretically, that gets us to a place where we can afford to spend or to save or to buy insurance and to prepare for the issues that we have in our family. They do, however, right, they're somewhat limited still by 2 factors, right? The one factor is my overall income. So while these things can help me get to a better place and a better possibility of being able to save or invest or buy the appropriate insurance, really what will drive that is the right income, right? Earning a fair wage for the work that I perform. And then the second piece, right, are just these other sort of systemic things that continue to challenge and undermine our community.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that. And then, Alexis, I think Talisha Marshall asked, do copays go toward out-of-pocket max?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Say that one more time.
Do copays go toward out-of-pocket max?
That's a good one. So, so copays and co-insurance and all those things, they will always go towards your out-of-pocket max. They don't go towards your deductible all the time. So the deductible piece, do they go towards it? Depends on how your plan is set up. The out-of-pocket max, it will. So let me explain what that is, because we actually just we did deductible. We didn't do out-of-pocket max. So when you're looking at your benefit breakdown, they give you your deductible amount, your co-insurance amount, and if you don't have a high deductible plan, they give you your copay amounts. After the deductible, you see something called an out-of-pocket maximum. What this term is, this is the amount of money, the maximum amount you're going to pay for in a plan year. So it usually means that you have to hit something catastrophic. So it's either a really, really bad accident, injury, major surgery, or heaven forbid, a really terrible diagnosis like kidney failure. You go into renal failure, something like that. And it's going to put you over whatever that amount is. That amount, common amount, depending on your plan, it might be something around, $30,000 to $40,000, if that makes sense. So during that plan year, if any point in time you hit the out-of-pocket max, then that means everything for the rest of that plan year is covered at 100% by your plan. Okay, because that's the cap.
And that's something that didn't always exist. What used to happen back in the day was there was no out-of-pocket maximum. So insurance companies just kept charging and charging and charging. So that's how you get people who were just going complete deep into debt because of these catastrophic costs to their healthcare. Not to say that eliminated catastrophic healthcare costs, because again, if your out-of-pocket max is $30,000 and you have a $100,000 medical bill, you're still going to be at a loss. But what it did was it helped try and cap some of the damage that it could do. So that way you weren't being hit by the hospital and the collections all at the same time for, 3 different things with one major incident, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
You hope that you never hit the out-of-pocket max, but you're kind of grateful it's there just in case you do. And at least everything for the rest of that plan year is covered at 100%. But again, you go every plan year hoping and praying that never happens, because that's a lot of money and that means something terrible has occurred.
Okay. So, Quentin, quick question for you. What is generational wealth? People keep hearing us use that as a term. What is it?
Yeah, so generational wealth is really the passing of assets or passing of wealth from one generation to the next generation to the next generation. And it's like a number of things. It can look like the passing of wealth after someone has passed away, and whether they've left a house or they've left money or other, assets that the kids or the heirs then get to sort of take possession of and to use for their benefit. That's one way that can look like. It also looks like your parents giving you $50,000 as a down payment on your house that you purchased when you and your newlywed go and decide you're going to buy a brand new house. That's not something that most Black people have experienced, but I can tell you I have a number of white friends and colleagues who that was exactly their story, that their family had accumulated wealth over time such that when they were ready to go make a purchase, they didn't have to wait for dad to die or mom to die or grandpa to die or whomever else to die. Those folks went into their storehouse, their treasure, and they passed that gift down while they were still living.
Okay, so basically what you telling me that I could get with Cory, sit down with him, pay him $50, $60 a month, and when I die, my son ain't gotta work. That's what you saying?
Now that's not what I said. I mean, now Cory may tell you that that's what he's able to do. I don't know why would I want to do that? My son don't take out trash now. Why would I want to do that?
That sounds like a parental issue.
Me and Cory agree on something. No, I'm joking.
Cory, you know my life. You know my damn son. He take out neighbors' trash. Shit. But
here's the thing, right?
Go ahead.
I think part of what we have to do as a Black community is we have to begin thinking about our kids and how we raise our kids and what we expect of our kids a little bit differently than we do. We are harder on our kids than any other community, with maybe the exception of Asian families. And I say that with all due respect, academically, et cetera. But we are very hard and down on our kids, right? And so it is almost like because we had to struggle, we expect that little Pookie and them going to have to struggle too. And they haven't really made it into adulthood if they're not dealing with some of the same stuff that we had to deal with. But the reality is, for me, the sign of good parenting and the sign of a legacy is me preventing my kids from having to go through the nonsense that I had to go through because, to Cory's point, I was uneducated, right? If I know better, I ought to do better, and I ought to help my kids to start in a better place than where I'm starting from. So if I was starting from 100 miles behind the starting line, I want my kids to start 75 miles or 50 miles behind the starting line, not to be 100 or 150 miles behind the starting line. So for me, I do, in fact, want my kids to have a better future and a better starting point than what I had. Now, the issue that you raised, though, to Cory's point, is one that we need to talk about, because if we're not careful and I leave this inheritance to my kids, they will blow through it because they have not been disciplined. They do not understand the value of money, how to take care of it, how to grow it, how to use it wisely, right? And so we do have to do some things around parenting, around familial education to ensure that this generational wealth is, in fact, generational and does not stop after my kids' generation, right? The goal is that what I leave should be for my children's children, right? So that means that I have to educate my kids on what it is that I'm leaving them, how to take care of it, how to grow it. White people understand how to do that. They have trust funds, they have estate plans, they protect their assets in ways that we have not known how to do before now. And this is the time to get educated. If you are a 18, 19, 20-year-old adult in this country and you do not have a will, then you have a problem. You have a problem. You are setting the state up to take a hold of your assets when you die, assets that should go to somebody in your family.
You know what? I remember one time I was working. I went to go get my taxes done. When I went to go get my taxes done, the dude who was getting his taxes done beside me, he had a suitcase, and I never forget. We was at H&R Block, and I'm thinking, who the fuck brings a suitcase to H&R Block? And I'm listening to all the stuff, and I'm listening to all the stuff that he had. He had IRAs, and I'm hearing all these. And as she's saying these things, I'm writing them down because I'm thinking, I want to know what this stuff. I want to bring a suitcase in next year, right? So the lady who's helping me, she tells me, yo, you can come work for us, and they'll teach you all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, cool. So I started working for H&R Block, and H&R Block gives you these books to kind of keep, like if you're a business, to keep track of your expenses. Like it's a free book. Yep. Yeah, and my friends are all barbers. So I was telling them about it. They said, bring me one. I said, cool. So I go in the barbershop, and I'm just passing them out to the people I know. The owner of the shop was walking past me, and I was like, hey, bro, here you go. It's free. He was like, no, I ain't buying nothing from you. And the way he did it was like, I know you trying to sell me something. I don't want it, right? So I'm thinking, dang, I'm like, first of all, you rude. You know what I mean? You coming at me sideways, but it's cool. So then later on, I'm in there waiting, and I'm getting my hair cut. And I said, hey, bro, I said, how could you do that? And you don't even know if I was selling nothing. He was like, bro, I thought you was selling insurance. I was like, you don't have, I said, so you don't, I said, so you don't have insurance? You don't got life insurance? He said, nah, that's what my baby mama for. Wow. He said, that's what my baby mama for. And I'm just like stuck. I'm thinking like, but you got a shop. Like you actually own a shop. And that's, and I hate saying that because that proves Cory's point, and I don't like proving his point.
You have no, Nino know I get on his ass and I stay right,
but so speaking of being right, man, go ahead. What you gonna say?
No, you don't understand the dumbass objections I have to overcome to the point to where I don't even educate no more. You say some dumb shit, I just pack my shit up. All right, I'm done. You don't care about it. Yeah. I'm not, and it's cool to go see a mental health therapist now. So I'm gonna take that hat off. You know what I'm saying? Who am I to try to show you the importance of protecting your shit? Like we gotta stop listening to these dumbass rappers talking about money is everything. Like we really buy into that mindset. You know what I'm saying? And then justify it. The dope boy lifestyle has a short shelf. You know what I'm saying? Some point you're going to be 43 years old. Some point you're going to be 47 years old. Some point you're going to get tired of looking at your friends who started off at a duplex, but now they ass living somewhere in Brentwood. Now they got 9 pounds. And then you at a happy hour with them, and they looking at you like, damn, you weren't doing this? Like, start having those conversations. Like, see, we don't challenge each other. Like, that's what I love me and Quentin dialogue. He held his ground, I'm going to hold my ground. I can have these conversations all day and say, hey, bro, let's go have a drink. Because you pushing me. Most friends ain't even having these conversations with their friends. Are you investing in a Roth IRA? What is that? Life insurance? Shit, I don't need that shit. You went into a man who owned a black business with independent contractors in there who's probably leasing the building because he don't know what ownership really is.
Really is, yeah.
And turned around and say, I don't want nothing you going to sell me that's going to possibly protect me and my entity.
That's exactly what he told me.
That's why my delivery is like this, because my mind be like, man, what the fuck are you talking about?
Can you say that again for me? How dare you say that again?
How dare you? You gotta challenge people. Like, how dare you say that dumb shit? Don't nobody challenge people no more. Yeah. People just let people say dumb shit. They ain't gonna talk to their homeboys and stab them in the back.
Right. No, you're right. You're right. So while we on that subject, man, there's two type of policies, Cory. There's two type of policies: whole life, term life. What are they?
Well,
What's
it's
the
more than
difference?
two types. I'll break it down like this. When you have term insurance, you're renting life insurance from the insurance company for a particular term. So a president typically has 2 terms they reelected. So after 8 years, that president is gone. So in term insurance, you say, okay, Prudential, I want you to cover me for 30 years. This is the face amount I want, and this is what I'm willing to pay. They qualify you. They're going to say, okay, Alexis, for $50 a month for the next 30 years, I'm going to cover you. Should something happen to you outside of suicide within these 30 years, your family, your beneficiary will get $250,000. When year 26 come, I might sit down with you again and say, hey, do you want to convert this over to a permanent policy? That's why it's called whole life, right? To a permanent policy. If not, by year 30, if you build your wealth up, because see, the importance of term insurance, you're supposed to be working on your wealth building from age 25 to 55. Those are your wealth building years. And then you're supposed to have, quote unquote, to be self-insured. So when you get to 55 and you're done, hopefully in them 30 years, you got about 100K in the bank. You can self-insure. You fine. You don't need me. I don't need you. I did my job. That's a term. The term is over. So basically not even renting, you're leasing insurance. Whole life is what it is. Whole life, you have it for your entire life. Should you could afford to make the same policy payment every month, because inside of a whole life policy, the fees inside of a whole life policy goes up. So as the older you become, as you get rather, the higher the fees get inside that account. And what typically happens in our community, because we pay such a small amount of premium, a premium is your monthly investment into your policy. Let's say if it's of $100 a month, then your fees may be 102. Once your fees become higher than your premium, then whatever cash that you accrued inside of your whole life policy, it's going to eat away at the cash. Once it takes its cash and the fees is more than your whole life, then you have a lapse situation and you don't have permanent coverage anymore. So those are the two types of term, the main types of insurances we talk about. But I always suggest, because term is really designed to protect your number one asset, the ability to earn income. So I'm always telling people they need to get the new living life insurance. That's why I corrected Quentin when it was like life insurance is not for you. No, it's a new type of insurance policy that if you have a heart attack, stroke, cancer, any type of critical or chronic illnesses, you can take money from this term insurance policy and never pay it back. Alexis gave an example that if you had a catastrophic injury, right, and it became critical, it was critical, chronic, whatever the case may be, and you didn't have enough money for the deductible, if you could pull money from your term insurance policy, it will pay that. I had a lady who was at Vanderbilt. She was a Vanderbilt employee, wound up having breast cancer. She had a $300,000 policy. I was able to give her $72,000 from that policy. So it's new types of term insurances out here that I think you should get, particularly Black folk. Why? Because strokes, heart disease, cancers, sedentary lifestyles. We don't have money in our savings. We ain't putting money in our HSAs. You know what I'm saying? And these type of critical chronic illness could debilitate us, right? If you look at our credit reports, the number one bill is the medical collections because we don't have it. But if you have a policy where you're spending, let's say, $40 to $60 a month, and that could protect your health, because you know your lifestyle. You know that you don't go to the doctor. You know that you're going to stop playing ball one day. You know that you don't even take your ass to Planet Fitness, right? To work out. Sedentary lifestyle, but you still eat like you're 17 years old. You still eat like you're 14, you got a high metabolism. You still eat that BS. You still drink like you a college frat boy. And then you're 41 years old, wondering why you have a heart attack, wondering why you're stroking out. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have the money to pay for it. And then on top of that, we do what Quentin don't want us to do, which is go into the equity of our house to pay for some of these medical bills. Because what does that do? That stops us from building wealth because of a negligent lifestyle. So everything goes. This is why this conversation is beautiful. Having someone for HR, I don't know your background, Quentin, but you're very educated when it comes to systemic issues. All of this goes together. It loops around, you know. So that's why I say you got to have the right type of life insurance. You got to deal with the right type of HR specialist, and you got to have people like Quentin in your life that's going to educate you. Like, hey, this is what you got to be on.
And
then brothers like Nino putting the show out here to educate the community. This is imperative.
Now, I just want to say I appreciate that. I appreciate you breaking down. I did know about the living term, but I didn't know if it was I didn't know it was available yet, to be quite honest. I got information and I saw and I read up on a little information about it, and it seemed like it was something new, but I haven't even like really dug into it yet. So I will be reaching out to you, man, to get more.
Living benefits been out since 2016. And I'm gonna say something too, Quinn, you might like this one. The reason why I believe, particularly black women, why I believe every black woman should have a term insurance policy with living benefits, because I personally don't believe the Tuskegee experiment ended. It ended with black men, but transferred to black women. And I'm gonna say this, to me, if our black women are going to the hospital at the same rate as white women, but for some odd reason they're constantly coming out stage 3, stage 4 cancer, something ain't right. Something ain't right. And they have evidence of doctors purposely misdiagnosing black women. You know what I'm saying? And no one ain't speaking about that. And unfortunately, who carries the most debt within our community? The black woman now.
And Cory, to your point, that is absolutely accurate for the black women when it comes to cancer. It's also absolutely accurate when it comes to black women and maternity and infant mortality rates. So labor and delivery, you know, so that's another way that we are disproportionately affected by misdiagnosis, non-diagnosis, and being ignored when we're when we're in labor and delivery. So it's all these little things. And a lot of black women I know in certain groups that I'm in, we actually have to start the conversation of being your own advocate. When you go in that doctor's office and you tell them this hurts or that aches, and they say, oh, it's just nothing, take some ibuprofen, and they don't put it in your chart, you demand they put it in the chart. Because as a benefit specialist, as someone who's been on the inside, who has to look at claims when it hits those chronic illnesses, and then all of a sudden the employer's like, why are we paying this $400,000 claim? This is going up against our stop loss. What's going on, Alexis? What is it? And then I have to look at the details. Y'all didn't put none of that in the chart. So when you go into these facilities, when you're going into these places where you know you're going to be treated unfairly, you need to go in understanding, okay, I'm at a disadvantage. I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice but to do what I need to do and advocate for myself. If that, you know what I'm saying? Because I know plenty of black women who are going in and trying to make sure they're staying on top of their things, and they're still coming out with stage 4 ovarian cancer. This is somebody who goes to the doctor every year. She gets her years on time. How in the hell did you miss that? It can't go from nothing to stage 4 in a year. Like, are you serious? And then when she goes back to look at her record, they're showing that they never actually got the labs back. They just wrote it in the chart that everything.
Hey, can I say something? Because you
didn't go to the lab. It's ridiculous.
You know I'm a petty motherfucker, right? Quentin. You know she's talking about. You know she's talking about accountability, right?
But it's a new conversation, Cory. Like, it's really a new conversation for us as a community, being your own health advocate. Like, we have to do it. So I'm glad that the conversations are coming up and the topics are coming up for our black men, black women, all people of color, because you really don't have a choice anymore. They literally did a study that said black women or black men can receive less anesthesia for procedures because they have a different nervous neural system. This was asked
Yeah, this was asked by people in medical school. They were in medical school. Several of them were in Johns Hopkins Medical School. And they asked them, do you believe that Black people can tolerate more pain than white people? Oh, yeah, I believe that.
That racist mythology goes all the way back to the enslavement of Black people in this country, where white people needed to justify the brutality and the cruelty that they were exacting against our bodies.
You can't
and part of the way that they made themselves be able to sleep at night was to say, well, it's not really hurting them because they have these sort of extraordinary ability to sort of withstand these difficulties. That was part of it. The other part of it was that there were some African tribes that would not demonstrate pain outwardly, right? As a matter of pride, as a matter of their strength, as a matter of their integrity as human beings. And so when white people would see this, they were dumbfounded by the fact that these Black people could withstand so much abuse and so much hatred and so much physical pain and torture. I just want to throw in there real quickly as we move on to whatever the next topic is, that there's a great book that talks about this subject. It's called Medical Apartheid by Harriet Washington, a Black woman who deals with this issue of the medical system in this country and how it affects Black people disproportionately and unfairly relative to white people. The other thing that came out this past year was a study that shows that if Black people go to Black doctors, they receive better care and are less likely to die than if Black people go to non-Black doctors.
Right. So basically what you were saying, Quentin, a moment ago, them thinking that Black people somehow didn't feel pain the same as white people. So you basically saying the Black Panther movie proved them right. Is that what you're saying? Because he was getting his ass kicked in there and he didn't die. So he was like the shit, right? They thought we'll respawn back after we die. Is that what they was thinking, Quentin?
Yeah. So the Igbo tribe, right, literally would refuse to be enslaved. So these men and women would be on slave ships and would literally jump off the side of the slave ship, right? So in the Black Panther, we think it's rather poetic that he says, I'd rather be dead. I'd rather be dead than to be a slave, right? But no, that was real for our ancestors. There were people who said, we will not let these European devils come over here and to enslave us. I would rather literally jump into the ocean and die than to let them control my life.
Absolutely. Now, Alexis, I got a question from somebody. The question is, does your employer insurance move from employer to employer?
No. So are you talking about health insurance or life insurance?
She just said insurance. So if you can answer for both.
Sure. So no is the short answer. Simply because your employer benefits are for that specific employer. They set up their plans, their policies, and everything that ties to it with that company. So when you move to another employer, you need to learn that plan and those policies. Same for the life insurance. That's why, and I know this is another thing that people always want to, they always throw it in the trash, and that might be fine. Cory may agree with this, but when you leave an employer that gives you basic life insurance, and you leave that employer, they will send you
that word one more time.
Basic life insurance. That flat amount based on your salary that they're going to say, okay, well, you don't have to pay for it, but you're covered at 1 times your salary. You got it. So when you leave that employer, that life insurance plan doesn't go with you unless you port or convert the plan. And that's what the insurance company then sends you after you terminate employment with that employer. So you have the option to get the plan and make it your own personal plan. It's not going to be the same cost, which is either free or next to nothing. And honestly, you should probably just go see Cory, because what you're getting with that plan is not the same as what you could be getting for an individual plan. And also, before I stop, if you're employed, you have basic life, and let's say you even do the supplemental life with it. Okay, fine, great. You still need your own personal plan.
Say that again. Oh my God.
You still need your own personal plan. Working in my part of the industry, when I see these plans go into effect, usually someone has passed away, a team member's passed away, and then you got to process the life insurance claims. The way these companies process that claim, and by the time they take the taxes and do whatever they're going to do and send the check, I still got Miss Maybell calling me because Pookie's policy wasn't enough to cover what she thought. She thought $30,000 was gonna be enough. She ain't know Pookie was in debt. She ain't know Pookie's funeral was gonna be $15,000. And no one told you to get the rose gold casket. But you know what? That's neither here nor there.
Oh, that's another conversation.
Pookie should have had an additional policy. So yes, your employer
that you borrow.
Your employer benefits are there to help assist and help you make what you need to make, but you also need to definitely do and get your own individual plan for yourself and your family. You have to look out for number one, and that's them. You can't be dependent solely on your employer life insurance policy.
And for the most part, we're talking $1 a day to get to have your own policy. For the most part, what's $30 damn? $30 should not make you say, I got enough coverage at work. It just shouldn't. It should be like, oh, $30. Okay, let me do that. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, I'm happy you said that.
So I got a question for the room, and some of you may know what this is, some of you may not. Cryptocurrency. We've been talking about investment. We've been talking about money. Now, as you know, Tesla has bought 1.5 billion in Bitcoin and plans to start accepting payments in Bitcoin. Then you have the Acorn, which was created by the hip hop artist Akon, and it was launched as a payment in his tech city in Kenya called Akon City. And then Jay-Z actually teams up with the Twitter CEO to invest 23 million in Bitcoin fund. So the question to the room is cryptocurrency the future?
Absolutely. Absolutely, it's the future. Like, just think, man. I put it on my Facebook page. Let me see, do I got it real quick? But did you know? And I had the chance to buy it. And sometimes we wanted to punch my financial advisor in the face because they so big on we're white Americans and the dollar will never go down and blah blah blah. And I was really learning how to get into it. But in 2010, for Valentine's Day, Bitcoin was 5 motherfucking cents. Mm-hmm. That bitch hit $50,000 this morning. Mm-hmm. So to sit up there and say, is it a scam or is it a future? 5 cents in 20 motherfucking 10, 50,000 in 2021. Something should tell you it's here to stay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The same like how we thought them ugly ass Kia Renos was ugly as hell back in 2010. Them Telebrews, some bad boys. Evolution. We have to evolve. Currency evolves right now. This morning I made $400 trading crypto. I've been averaging $200-300 a day. Now I'm stepping it up to about, I'm trying to do $400-500 a day trading crypto. This right now, particularly for Black America, because Bitcoin, most folks don't got $50. I mean, 50,000 for about one whole coin. But there's other coins out here that could be the great wealth equalizer. Right now, they not systemically oppressing no one, right? So what we should do is take an hour or two a day to educate ourselves on the new currency. We cannot continuously think the dollar is going to be here. We're constantly hearing the dollar ain't shit anymore. What a dollar could buy you today, you know what I'm saying? What a dollar could have bought you 10 years ago, it cannot buy you today. My brother just said rent was just $700 in 08. It's fucking $1,400. You know what I'm saying? And so since we see this, we have to become our own wealth advocate. No, Dogecoin is not good. It's what's called a pump and dump, meaning that they're going to inflate it. So if you're smart with it, I get money from Dogecoin because I know when you buy the dips, you go high, you report the profits. You know what I'm saying? But that's a great question that you asked because it's letting me know that something like that has opened up your eyes to the world of cryptocurrency. I give you another example.
Or she's seen it on Facebook. Or she's seen it on Facebook.
On Facebook. I'm happy that we're having this conversation about it. But I give you an example. One of my I don't want to go too deep in it because then folks, another topic. But one of my accounts that I'm getting is getting me 16%. So why would I put my money in a savings account that's going to give me 0.2%?
Right.
When this account is giving me 16%, versus hearing the objections I've been hearing about it, but it ain't stable. Motherfucker, driving ain't stable. Eating ain't stable. It's a lot of shit that ain't stable. Like you know what I'm saying? What ain't stable is your consistency to be educated. That's what's not stable. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
Quint.
That's the part folks want to talk about, right? Get educated. Because this is because 3-4 years, I got some coins right now, and I'm following some dope brothers. Matter of fact, one of my good brothers wrote a book called Black and Bitcoin, Isaiah Jackson. Okay, he just re-released it. That's my guy. You hear what I'm saying? And some coins that I have in my portfolio that's going to make me a multi-millionaire by the time 2025 comes. Based on the predictions, based on the coins I'm buying. You know, that, hey, I let the Bitcoin train, whew, and that motherfucker left the station. Like, I might do a couple $100 a week in Bitcoin, but that left the station, okay? But we do got a coin called Ethereum right now. That's about $1,800 that you need to be doing about $25, $30 a weekend if you can afford that, so you can catch up. Right? There's different coins out here that if you get educated on, 5, 6, 7 years from now, your bank accounts will thank you.
So let me ask, Quentin, is Bitcoin the future?
Yeah, so I absolutely think that it is. I agree with a lot of what Cory has said here. People are skeptical about cryptocurrency because they, number one, don't understand it. And number two, they have this idea that dollars are dependable because I can touch them, I can feel them, I can go to the bank and get some. And this cryptocurrency, it's a bunch of ones and zeros in a computer. But the reality is that we have been using digital currency for quite some time, right? The majority of the money that I spend and everyone watching in YouTube land and Facebook land is not paper money, right? You never receive, your salary in paper in your hand. You receive your salary in ones and zeros on a computer that has an account number attached to it that is your bank account. So we have been dealing with electronic currency for quite some time as a country, right? So we need to kind of get over that first hurdle of understanding around this issue of cryptocurrency. The second thing is I am concerned that yes, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have the opportunity to be this level set, but the reality is that I think what's happening right now is all of the stuff in the air, right? All the media is kind of putting question and doubt in people's minds around, whether they should be buying Bitcoin. Is it safe? Is it reliable? Only drug dealers use cryptocurrencies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. While on the down low, what we're getting ready to find out is Tesla's not the only company that's been buying Bitcoin. So they're telling us, they're telling you, they're making you believe that you shouldn't be buying this asset because that's what it is. It's an asset, while they are on the down low buying $1.5 billion.
Your bank is buying Bitcoin.
1.5 billion. Right. And so what is happening is there's absolutely going to be the shift that takes place away from US dollar. There are countries right now, right, where Bitcoin is the currency in the country. Venezuela, right? They use Bitcoin as the currency in the country. And this is just going to begin to take off. Now where I take a different road than where Cory takes is while Bitcoin is at $50,000 per coin today, what we have to understand is that you don't need an entire Bitcoin to make profit. Really what this is about is it's about a return on the money that you put into this thing, right? So I did some numbers last night talking to somebody about this very issue. If a person had taken $2,500 and put in Bitcoin on October the 12th, so 90 days ago, if they'd taken $2,500 and put in Bitcoin, as of yesterday, after 90 days, that $2,500 would be worth $10,388.81. That's over a 400% return on the money that person would have put in Bitcoin. Now, you may say to yourself, well, I don't have $2,500. Fine. Let's say you have $250. Your $250 would become $1,389. Well, I don't have $250. Fine. You have $25. Your $25 becomes $103.88. I don't have 20. You have $2.50. Your $2.50 becomes $10.39, right? So the issue with Bitcoin isn't that you have to try to put together all this money to buy a whole Bitcoin, right? What you need to do is take whatever you to, right? That you know, let me do this little thing right here. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. If you do anything that I suggested that I say, you're doing it on your own volition. I'm not responsible for your choices. You cannot hold me accountable. All right. That being said, whatever amount of money you can take to set aside that you don't have to live on right now today, that you literally can set aside and just let it sit there, I promise you. I can't tell you what you should do. I'm telling you that, you know, what I may or may not be doing is stacking every little piece that I can in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, because I understand that this is going to yield a return that no other asset has yielded in quite a very long time. Right?
Hold on, Cory. Hold on, Cory. I want to let Alexis rock. Keep what you're saying, though. I want to hear you. Go ahead, Alexis.
So just to let you know, again, from my field, we're looking at total rewards, right? This is a question that has been coming up lately. As my employer, part of my total rewards package, versus you trying to stick me in a traditional 401k or a traditional 403b, can I maybe get cryptocurrency? Or can we do some sort of match for match investment in my own cryptocurrency? Like, the question is, cryptocurrency the future? Hell yes, it is the future. It's to the point now to where now you have employers under the, like you said, on the down low, doing all these deals, counting all these figures, because now they're trying to figure out, well, how can we work this in? Because we need to draw in good employees, but we need to be able to keep them. Yep. And can we maybe use this to our advantage? So will we eventually get to the point to where that's what's happening? I really think we will. So it's not just what we're seeing in the news, it's what we're not seeing. It's the stuff that we have to hear on the back end that we're hearing coming from underneath the table. So right. Yeah, they're working these deals. They're working these things, working for, especially when you work for a predominantly white company. And what I mean by that is like the upper management, all of the C-suite or corporate elites are all white mostly. This is what they're talking about. They're talking about how to incorporate these things into our packages, into our plans, into our business. You know, we got stocks and everything, but how can we incorporate this item into what makes us more money? And maybe we can give y'all a couple little pennies on the side to keep y'all happy too. You know, like these are the conversations that are happening for HR. These are the conversations that are coming up when we go to our seminars and stuff. How does cryptocurrency affect us? It's a huge topic because under the table, like you said, in the news, they're trying to cast all the doubt and they're sending all the negativity. Outside of that, I can't listen to the news because when I'm at work, these are the articles we're getting. These are the seminars we have to attend. These are the conversations that are happening off screen, if that makes sense. So that's all.
By the time it gets to the pump, it's too late.
It's too late.
It's too late. By the time it gets to us, it's too late. And what Quentin is talking about, I love how he broke it down, major to the minor, right? The term is called dollar cost averaging. And what I like to tell my clients, even though I'm an insurance bro, I'm not a financial advisor, so don't take my damn advice. So entertainment, it's for entertainment. But anyway, it's called dollar cost averaging. And what we recommend is, I always ask my clients, what's your risk tolerance? Yeah. Say, for instance, $100 a month is your risk tolerance. Then what you do is you consistently invest that $100 a month in the same, whether it's stock or cryptocurrency. So when you buying it at the dip, you're going to get more profit. When you buying high, you may not get more profit. But at the end of the day, if you're consistently doing that $100, you're going to gain, right? So you need to look at your bank statement and ask yourself, what am I spending that's going to that is allowing me to commit financial genocide? Something that I am killing my future every time I make it. And your bank statement is going to let you know where you prioritize your money. That's the first thing you should do. Once you do that, then hopefully it wakes you up and say, hey, I got to invest in my future. So it's called dollar cost averaging. If you don't know where to start, what can you risk? What's your risk tolerance? Something that you could wake up and be like, okay, it's only 100, I ain't tripping. Or it's only 50, I ain't tripping. You know.
So Nino, I know you want to jump in here. Let me just give two quick pieces of advice that can literally change somebody's life if they do these two things. All right. So what Cory is talking about, dollar cost averaging, it is extremely easy to buy Bitcoin right now today. You can buy Bitcoin through Cash App. So if you have Cash App on your phone right now today, you can open your phone right now today. There's an icon. I think it's the second icon on the bottom from the right-hand side. It's a B with the circle on it. That is the universal emblem for Bitcoin. You press on that button and it walks you through how to literally buy Bitcoin today. You can buy $1 worth. You can buy $10 worth. You can buy $500 worth. Whatever amount you want to buy, you can buy. Cash App allows you to set up a system where you can automatically dollar cost average like Cory is talking about. So it will say in there, how frequent do you want to repeat this transaction? And if so, how frequently? So you can have it every week. Take $10 out of your account and go to Bitcoin. Every 2 weeks, take 25, whatever you might want to do to set this thing up automatically. So it just happens and you don't even have to go in and physically do it yourself. You can do that right now today in Cash App. Now, do not buy Bitcoin from two places. Do not buy it from Robinhood and do not buy it from PayPal. In those two systems, you cannot actually take full possession of your Bitcoin. They have to stay on those platforms, okay? When you get enough Bitcoin, Cash App will allow you to move that Bitcoin off of Cash App to another location, okay? Now, that's higher level stuff. Right now, all you need to understand is, one, you can buy it on Cash App, and two, you can set it up to automatically make the investment into Bitcoin for you. The second thing I want to offer to you today is another education opportunity, and it's absolutely free. I have nothing to do with it. I benefit from it myself on a regular basis. So Cory just mentioned Isaiah just a moment ago. Zay is a member of this group called Black Bitcoin Billionaires, all right? It was founded by a guy by the name of Lamar Wilson. And they have on, if you're on, my God. What's
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse, thank you. Thank you, my goodness. If you're on Clubhouse, right, if you have an Apple device and you're on Clubhouse, you can go and you can join the Black Bitcoin Billionaires group, the room, okay? And they have regularly scheduled activities where they go from everything from you're brand new to Bitcoin, you have no idea what it even is. They will walk you through every education piece necessary to get you up and running, all the way through you're advanced and you want to talk about the 17 different coins you have in your portfolio and what you should be doing with them. They cover the entire gamut. Black Bitcoin Billionaires. If you're not on Clubhouse, there's a group, the same group functions on Facebook, but it's called Coinda, Koinda. You can go join the Coinda Facebook page and get access to almost all of the same content that you would get on Black Bitcoin Billionaires. Those are my two things that will literally, if you don't hear anything else from any of us tonight, take those two things away, and I promise you.
Spell that group again.
Coinda. They originally wanted to call it Wacoinda, but Marvel's tried to sue them because they were saying it was an infringement. So it's Coinda, Koinda. That's on Facebook. And on Clubhouse, it is the Black Bitcoin Billionaires room. And then just online, you can go to blackbitcoinbillionaires.com or .net. Just Google Black Bitcoin Billionaires, and you can go to their Facebook, their website. And on their website, they're giving away, if you're a Black person, you do not have Bitcoin, you can sign up to get free Bitcoin from their website.
Now, you know what? Real quick, when I was like 15 years old, right? This white boy introduced me to a chat. It's like a virtual chat. It's a virtual world. Well, in 2021 is now, what's the game the kids play online now where you could buy clothes and shit? You know what I'm talking about. What's that game called where they can, they jump out the airplane and then they got to fight and kill each other?
Minecraft?
No, Fortnite. There you go. Fortnite. In 2021, it's Fortnite. But back then, you did it for chat. And basically what you would do is create a person and say you type in nightclub. The room would change to a nightclub, and everybody who's in the nightclub, you can go talk to them. You walk up to them, type in, hey, what you doing, where you from? Well, on that game, you could buy clothes, and you could buy jewelry, you could buy all kind of shit, right? But the place you had to go buy the shit was in the dark web. Well, when you go to the dark web as a 15-year-old, you realize you can buy brass knuckles, guns, clothes, outfits, everything. But the one catch was you couldn't use US dollars. You had to put the money into something that turned it into some kind of crypt money that turned into something else. Do you know when cryptocurrency started? In 2009. It originally came out with a software in 2009. So I was literally buying cryptocurrency at 15 years old, but I didn't know. Can you imagine? So when you ask, is cryptocurrency the future? Hell yeah, it is the future. And I wouldn't doubt that the reason why we are seeing millionaires happen now is because Tesla and all these other companies been putting money into it. It's been doing it. We just now discovered what it is. You see what I'm saying? It's just, it's kind of like when you think about coding. Come on, y'all. We've been coding since we was kids. They just named it. They called it coding. Do you know putting tape over your VCR and putting it in there? That's coding shit. We've been doing that. So cryptocurrency is the wave of the future. But my next question for you guys, because we wrapping up. I know y'all tired. I appreciate y'all. We 2 hours in. Thank y'all. My question is, Quentin, cryptocurrency, wave of the future. One day it may replace the US dollar. Do you foresee an issue with cryptocurrency in the black community not reaping the benefits from it?
So
from the systematic racism side of it, do you foresee them putting things in place that would limit to what we as a people can do with cryptocurrency?
So yes and no. So I don't think that they will be able to put things in place to limit how we can use cryptocurrency, because the code itself, right, prevents that kind of manipulation. I think the issue that we're going to have is because we are skeptical and because we are slow to adopt, right, we're going to be left behind. So again, Elon Musk has bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin before well over 80% of black folk probably have bought $10 worth of Bitcoin, right? So we're already behind even in this new race, right? And it's not just a matter of mindset, right? Yeah, there's some things about mindset, right? But it's also that we are skeptical because we have been manipulated and we have, had bad experiences in these systems. And we don't have a bunch of money just laying around that I can go be willy-nilly with, right? So because, again, I'm struggling just to pay my rent, this idea of Bitcoin, if I don't really understand the potential and the power of it, is just like a far off thing that I'm even trying to hear right now, because I got struggle in front of me right now today. And so we have to find the balance as a people, right? Where we can begin to invest in these things despite our current situation. Now, the other benefit that we have, and we've talked about my Center for Urban Economic Justice, is around how do we as a black community begin to create our own coin, right? Whether it's Akon's coin or something else that we can use where we have our own economy. I visited the Tennessee Prison for Women as part of my master's program at Vanderbilt. And, I kind of see the world through an economic lens. And so as I listen to the women talk about their daily lives and kind of their experiences on the inside, one of the things that dawned on me was that these women have created an economy that functions wholly and independently from the economy that's outside of the prison walls. One woman described how she pays $20 a month to have someone that works in the laundry wash her clothes by themselves with special detergent so that she gets what she wants from the laundry. Another woman talked about how she paid somebody to put extra wax on the floor in her cell because that was her thing. She needed to have a clean cell with fantastic looking floors, right? But to get that money when you're on the inside and you're only making 10 cents an hour as a telephone operator, or 25 cents an hour, or whatever the wages they're paying you, right? There has to be something else that's going on. So these women have figured out how to create an economy that works for themselves, that is completely detached from the economy on the outside walls of the prison. And so for me, what we have to begin thinking about as a community is, how do we pool our resources together to create an economy that interacts with the greater economy of this country, but that is also somewhat separate from and apart from and not impacted or affected by. And I think that cryptocurrency presents the best opportunity for us to be able to do something along those lines. Now, there's other work we have to do. We've talked about trust on this call. We have to do some work around trust. We talked about mindsets on this call. We have to do some work around our mindsets, right? So there's some other stuff that we have to do. But if we are willing to come together and partner and collaborate and think outside of the box, we can free ourselves from all of this nonsense that's been affecting us for hundreds of years.
Okay. So before we head out, because after this, Quentin, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it all up. If you can you tell us in short, what is economic justice and what are the 5 keystones of it?
Yeah, so thank you, and I will be in short. I heard you. I'm a preacher in my other life, and so I know I can be long-winded. For my first close, no, so economic justice, right? I think of economic justice as the work that is relating to creating economic institutions, economic systems, policies, and processes that build a fair, representative, and accessible economy for all people. The issue that we have in this current economy is that it is not fair. It is not accessible for all people, and it does not represent the goodwill of all the people that participate in this economy, right? I think about our economy in terms of buckets, hoses, and funnels. Funnels direct the flow of something, right? Hoses move something from one point to another point, and buckets collect something. And in this economy, Black people have for far too long, have served solely as hoses, right? So rich people pour money into the hose, right? That's what happens when you get paid on payday. The 1st and the 15th, the 30th, every 2 weeks, a funnel is dumping money into you, the hose. And then you take that hose from your job over here and you go and you deliver it to Nike or to Applebee's or to wherever it is that you go and you spend your resources. And at the bottom over here, at the bottom of Applebee's, the owners and the shareholders, the managers and whoever else, they have buckets collecting the resource, right? So we're literally just passing wealth from one place to another place. Right. In 2019, right, our buying power was $1.4 trillion, right? That's different than our wealth. That's our buying power. They understand that if they give it to us, we'll give it back to them. So how do we change it? 5 things. The first is education. We've talked a lot about mindset tonight. We've talked a lot about, not understanding things and not reading things or whatever the case is, right? So I agree. We have to do some work around education, around what our economic systems are. We have to understand. I think we need to understand the history of how we've gotten here. I think we have to understand, even just what community means and what collaboration means and how do we begin to have trust in one another all over again. The second thing I think we have to do is begin to divest ourselves from systems that are killing our people or doing us harm. So whatever the system is, right? And by the way, that could be something as big as the banking system in this country that we know gives us higher interest rates, denies us for loans, right? Where we can build equity and assets, right? You can get a mortgage, but you can't get a business loan. You can get college debt, but you can't get a business loan. You can get a loan for that new Benz, but you can't get a business loan, right? Because we're not trying to empower you to build wealth in your homes or in our community. So we have to divest ourselves from those systems that are killing us and not doing us good. But if we're divesting from those systems, then we also then have to do this work of innovating and imagining what these new systems are going to be. I'll give you a short example. There's a church in Indianapolis, Indiana. They bought all of the vacant land in a 2-mile radius around their church building. And they wanted to build a multi-use retail space that would have low-cost housing on the top, and then retail spaces and social services on the bottom. It was going to cost them $2 million to build. Their church was $18 million. They took out a loan, a mortgage, to build their church for $18 million. Do you know that after 11 years of faithfully paying their mortgage, not a single late payment whatsoever, congregation has grown, wealth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, they could not get approved for a $2 million loan to build a unit that was going to be profitable the day the project was finished. And so what did they do? They said, fine, if you won't loan us the money, we're going to raise it ourselves. And they began to go around to Black communities and talk to Black people and say, we have an investment opportunity. We're trying to build this project. We know it's going to be profitable, and we will let you pick your return rate of interest, anywhere from 0% to 4%. And they were able to raise the money themselves without using the banks that are harmful to our people. And so we have to begin using the work of innovation to say, if these systems don't work for us, what kinds of systems could or would that we can build for ourselves to get done what we need to get done? The third thing is incubation. I don't believe that we have poverty in the Black community because we have a lack of ideas. I don't think it's a matter of a lack of work ethic. I don't think it's a matter of a lack of Black genius. I think it's a matter of we have people that have not had the resources or they have not had access to the information. And so, but we do have people. But look at this call. We have Alexis, who understands HR, right, and all of the things that entails. We have Cory, who can hook up business owners with, number one, just his own business mindset, because he's a business owner, so he has knowledge that he can share. But then he can also help those business owners understand what insurance they need and take care of their other needs. So within our community, we have enough knowledgeable people who are wise, who are smart, who are willing to give of their time to help another Black person build something that's going to ultimately help our community. So we have to do the work of incubation within our community. And then the fifth thing is civic engagement. We have to understand how our legal system works in this country, how laws are made, how they're enforced, right? And then how the judges do their job on the judiciary. If we don't understand the legislative branch, the judiciary, and the executive branch in our cities, in our states, and in our governments, we will always be behind, right? And so for me, it is those five things: education, divestment, innovation, incubation, and then civic engagement. And that's what my work is all about. I should have said a long time ago, I'm launching a nonprofit, Center for Urban Economic Justice. And it is designed to help build healthy Black communities, where Black people are building Black businesses that are in Black communities that will give life to Black people and Black families.
And I appreciate that. And most definitely, Quentin, we gotta link up. We gotta reconnect, because I have something in the works that's gonna tie in perfect with what you're doing for Black-owned small businesses, and you gonna love it, man. So at this point, man, it's been 2 hours 30 minutes. I got so many text messages about this live. My phone died, so I can't even respond to nobody. So I appreciate it. So Cory, to your point, Black people do want to know. That's why they texting me. They do want to know. Now we got some niggas that don't give a fuck, but we got some Negroes that want to know. So please, man, don't give up on us. You know me. You know I'm gonna keep on tagging you, keep on touching you.
I wouldn't have got on this, man, if I don't believe. You know, I'm a Black supremacist, man. I just hate. Right. I just hate delusional motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? It is. And unfortunately, it's more of them than it is us. But when you get brothers like Quentin and queens like Alexis on the phone, this what keeps my fuel going, keeps me moving. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because outside of me cursing people out, I am a chairman of a nonprofit. I started my own nonprofit, and I chartered a nonprofit around social and economic issues, because that's what my passion is. That's where it lies at. And Quentin says something that's real key. He says something: we got to divest from systems. You know, from not just systems, from entities that kill us. Well, Black America, that means we got to divest from some of the shit that we're currently doing to ourselves. That means we got to turn off some of this music we listening to that I call death chants. We got to divest from that. And we got to divest from lifestyle creep, because we still want to front for motherfuckers who won't take 3 days off to come to our funeral. You know what I'm saying? We got to divest from that. We got to divest from capping. There's a lot of things that we have to divest from as well, in order to have true ownership and reclaim our power back. Because as long as we're pointing fingers, we got 3 pointed back at us. So I'm addressing the 3 that's pointed back at us, asking you, what are you going to do? Quentin, you nailed it, man. I definitely agree with that part. Drink on me.
Hey, so if you can, Alexis, go ahead and tell us where we can find you on social media, just in case people have questions for you regarding HR benefits and these snow days that might need some advice to keep their job. So if you
all right, I need to preface this with I am if anything mainly just an individual who just knows a couple things about a couple things. Whatever happens between you and your employer, I ain't got nothing to do with that. But I can definitely give you some guidance, and I don't mind. So on Facebook, I am Alex Perry, and you can definitely hit me up in my inbox. And I don't even remember what my Instagram is. My Instagram, I changed the name on it. It is actually, my Instagram, you can find me at mostly_whiskey_PLZ, because I do like whiskey and bourbon. So if anybody's looking for gifts, there's that part. So I like that.
Have you had guidance yet?
I haven't had guidance yet. I haven't. Okay. My favorite right now is Uncle Nearest, but I really want to get my hands on some guidance. So
once the streets are dry, I'm gonna reach out to you and let you know when I grab some. All right.
Appreciate you. Oh, I'm sorry. It's mostly whiskey, PLZ, no ice. That's what the Instagram handle is.
All right. Now, Quentin, where can we find you? Anything you got coming up? Anything you got going? If you go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm my there on the screen is at Quinton W. Cox. That is me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm mostly active on Facebook. Just a warning. I share all of my opinions kind of unfiltered there, so it may not, suit everyone all the time. But if you come and follow me, then you're going to get what you get. In terms of things coming up, right now I'm working on a youth entrepreneurship program. We just ran the first semester, ran 10 kids through, literally gave them money to help them take their ideas to full-fledged businesses where they're actually launched and they have products and services that they're offering to customers. We're revising our content right now, and we're going to launch that again, hopefully this summer, as a summer program here through the city of Nashville's the mayor's office. So that's what we're working on. We're working on some things with American Baptist College and trying to get all the HBCUs to begin thinking about how we engage our Black college students on these issues of economic justice, so that we can again change our future. Because if our future is going to change when our young people get a different vision.
Absolutely.
All right, Cory, brother.
Oh,
I already know yours. Thug ties at Cory.com. Brat.
Call me Mr. Chimney if you want all the smoke, goddammit. No, it's IG Cory. I am Cory Bill Sr. Facebook Cory Bill. LinkedIn Cory Bill Sr. You guys like on the real, man. I'm like your favorite big brother, man. I always tell folks the people who cuss you out love you the most. You know what I'm saying? And so I got a lot of love for my race, man. I mean, we have shown that we can survive. I'm ready to push us to brilliance. We need to get past survival. We need to thrive. And our history shows that we have a phenomenal history. We need to get there. But sometimes I operate under Newton's law. Newton's law said that something that's what's what I'm looking for. You gotta hit some shit. You just gotta hit with an unbalanced force. That's what it basically. Something that's been stagnant for the longest. If you want it to move, you gotta hit it with an unbalanced force. And I think that we've enabled our people. We try to talk nice to our people. We've done a lot of stuff for our people, and we still ain't budged. And so Jadakiss said my favorite rap lyric of all lyrics. A nigga ain't never satisfied till there's blood up in their mouth. So I'm gonna punch you in your mouth financially.
There you go. You talk your shit. You talk your shit. Well, look, if y'all can do me a favor, hang out for just give me 2 minutes, right? Just hang out for just a second. If you can, go ahead and give me the screen, please. Thank you. So there you have it. I mean, it was 2 hours and 44 minutes. Now, one thing that I realized throughout this whole 2 hours and 44 minute journey, a great deal of people chose to go watch another live. That live that you chose to watch was entertainment. It wasn't educational. It wasn't prosperous. It wasn't nothing to feed your mind and educate you to do better. What I'm hoping is that you wanted to be entertained for the moment, but you will come back to be educated. And if you are watching this after watching that live, I want you to ask yourself, why did you choose to go there first? Because more than likely you chose to go there first because it make you feel good. Well, what we've been talking about today is not what make you feel good, but what help you live good and live better. Now, I'm not going to get into a whole tangent because it's 2 hours and 45 minutes. Just understand that anything that we want to do, we first have to be uncomfortable. And uncomfortable means sitting 2 hours and 45 minutes and getting brain food, getting knowledge, working out the strongest muscle in your body, your brain. It's your man, Nino Blac. This is Blac Thoughts. This is the Money Speak Easy. Shout out to all the guests. Shout out to everybody in the comment sections. Share, rewatch. It's a lot of Jews here. They could have been anywhere else in the world. Most of these people are married. They could be with their wives. They could be with their husband. They chose to be here with you. So show them some love. It's your man Nino Blac, and we out.
You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the fucks I ever gave on my head.